6 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center, and most of the time pretty crazy. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother morning of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So get that coffee brewing, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Did you have a good weekend, Billy?
Yes, I did. How about you?
We were at the rodeo, bud. We went to the Elizabeth Stampede.
Oh, how was it?
And then I saw the video in Oregon of the bull that jumped over, and I was like, that absolutely can happen because there's only a bar. It's about 5 feet above the ground that keeps these animals in. And
I'm actually surprised it doesn't happen more often, honestly. Right? I mean, it just, and again, what about, where are the rodeo clowns? I was looking at that too. I mean, that's what they went chasing after him afterwards. You're like, wait a minute.
And one person was pretty seriously injured. I think it was a lady just standing there. And you always hear the kind of old wives' tale that, it's not, they don't really go after red, that. But in the video of this lady, she's wearing the red shirt. There's 3 people standing there. One of them gets gored by a bull.
It's the one in red.
And it's the one in red.
You're like, oh, yeah. What about that old wives' tale?
So
how was the rodeo?
Here's what I love about local rodeos. And this is the time of year that they are. So Kiowa's got one coming up. You got them down in Colorado. So every little rural town has got rodeo going on right now. So there's 2 levels of rodeo. There's just 2 levels. There's NFR and National Western Stock Show, which are all the pros, the guys that are really good. It's like watching professional football.
Yeah.
And then every other rodeo is Jim Bob down on Maplewood Lane doing his very best. There was a 62-year-old that tried to steer wrestle.
Oh my God, no way.
62. And after and you know how they jump right off, grab the steer and flip them over?
Yeah.
And it lasted maybe 10 seconds. This dude was going 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Oh, geez.
And eventually he just ran out of energy, let go of the bull or the calf, and then just gets up and walks.
It's like, I'm done.
But it was it totally came across as, hey, I'll give you $50 if you put your name in.
Exactly. Come on. I bet you can't do it. Some sort of bet at the bar one night. Yeah.
And so we were Saturday night at the Stampede Rodeo. At that point,
nice.
Both Friday night and Saturday night, not a single person spent 8 seconds on a bull.
No.
Not a single person had.
That's kind of fun,
It was all 1.5 seconds. They opened the chute. The bull turns one way and the guy just goes right off. I mean, it is.
Oh, that's fun. That's really
everybody's
fun.
A few Coors Lights in and, watching their buddies try to ride on the bull.
How nice.
Was a ton of fun.
What a fun time.
Yeah, good weekend for you guys.
Busy. That and there are some home improvement things I was working on. I was telling you off air that it was every day. It felt like I was working. I literally was. I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning and doing something around the house, either for professional work, working on the air, or doing stuff around the house until 4:30 in the afternoon. So I do not feel like I had a weekend. It was yesterday evening. My oldest son was like, "Come on, let's go play this video game thing that has just come out, and do this." And I told him, I can't. I don't have the energy. I just need to sit down and have something pandered to me on the big giant screen. That's all I can. I can't handle anything else. And we did have to
tune in and check out.
That's all I could do. I didn't have any more, and nothing more inside of me. We had a problem with the dryer vent. There's an issue as far as how it's connected, and so I was trying to reconnect it and mess something up. So we're gonna have to get an HVAC guy up there to reconnect it properly because I can't get it to fit. As I think it was kind of Frankenstein in not properly to begin with. So when I was trying to fix it, it went sideways. So
don't you love all those problems you inherited from the previous guy?
I'm like, God. and we have a thing in our household about killing vacuums. We never buy really expensive vacuums. We did that once. And then ever since then, we learned our lesson.
No Dysons?
No way. Because we kill them regularly. And I cannot explain why. It's like plants around the house. They just die. So
snake skins in
this one was we had it just stopped, it got clogged, and for some reason, don't know how, obviously a sock is inside of it, but we can't get it out of the tube. And so in order to get it out of the tube, you have to break it. And so at that point, I'm like, we just have to go get a new vacuum. So Had to get a new vacuum and then trying to limp through with the dryer and everything else, getting clothes done. And I was working all last week with Westwood One as well, so I didn't get any yard work done during the week. So I had the yard work that I had to do, both our yard.
You miss a day and you're like, what the?
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of new weeds.
It is ridiculous. And then we also do yard work for the renters across the street. So it was over in their front yard and then to their backyard as well, because they face differently than we do. So their grass grows differently and the weeds really, really attack their backyard. So I spent a lot of time weeding Saturday afternoon that I'm not very happy about, especially because they're not my weeds in my house, but they're the renters. They're the renters, and we get a little bit of money from the gal that owns the place just to do it. I mean, it's not a significant amount of money, but it's nice to make sure that their house looks good. So yeah, I went over and
we had friends over and they were for a barbecue and they were all asking if you were there. Dude, you are now a bigger celebrity in my circle than I am right now.
All they wanted to do
it's Jeff. Yep. Is Bill around? I'd really like to see who this guy is.
What they want to do is they just wanted to throw stuff at me. That's all they were trying to do. They were going to do the classic thing where you're standing there and then someone comes up behind you and they get on their hands and knees and they push you over. That's what they're going to do. And I like middle school. Yes, exactly. That's what
but I got to give a shout out to Linda who came over. Yeah. She was so pumped about the show, and you have, and she is rock ribbed conservative.
Wow. Hey, Linda, good morning.
And she is a fan of yours now.
Wow, I am so excited. That is so nice. I really wish
we're bridging the gap.
We are. And it was like 2:00 in the afternoon, and it was getting to me because you had the event going on Saturday, and I'm like, I want to get out. And I talked to my wife, and she was excited about going. She had done the whole shower and getting dressed, and I'm trying to get through my stuff, and I couldn't get through it. I just couldn't. I tried as hard as I could,
man. So
I know. Even then, I was like,
our friends are like, you make this drive every day?
Yeah, why are you doing this?
Well, we've got an awesome show we're going to dive into. It is absolutely jam-packed. We're going to update you on this Israeli rescue hostage that took place over the weekend. Absolutely amazing. I mean, broad daylight. They went in. You'll never guess who is actually keeping the hostages. Or maybe you will. It kind of makes sense if you're on my side of the aisle. It does. Then Nacy Pallozzi, the chairwoman of the Jeffco Republicans, calling for the resignation of Dave Willaims, the chairman of the Colorado Republican Party. She's going to join us at 7 a.m. Is she improving things? Is this the right move that we need to make at this point to try to get electoral victories in November? Or is this a big distraction coming up to these important elections? So we'll be hosting her at 7 a.m. 8 a.m. Mike Lynch, candidate for Congressional District 4, will be in studio hanging out with us. And then 9 a.m., the amazing Gaye Ribble.
That'll be fun.
Talking about what's going on with the housing situation here in Colorado. Is it a good time to sell your house? She'll give you all those details. So you're not going to want to miss today's show. Absolutely jam-packed. We made a lot of news on Friday by hosting Dave Willaims. Billy and Dave got into it.
It was so much fun.
And that was where this is where the conversation happens, man. So I appreciate Dave coming on.
Oh, I did too.
And to Dave's credit, he'll take the questions head on. A lot of people run away from that type of stuff. He's willing to stand by it and have that discussion. And Billy, you didn't give him an inch.
No, I didn't. And I appreciate so much and I respect him so much for being able to do that, because not a lot of people have that testicular fortitude. And whether or not Dave and I agree or disagree on things, he'll stand up and he'll defend his side and he'll make his points known. And I appreciate that just tremendously.
All right, let's check in with the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. I hate dryer vents also. They are the absolute worst. I mean, who invented this stuff? But then again, I love dryers. 57 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the low 90s today, the 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, the work week starting off with another chance of storms. Heavy rain, lightning, and wind pounded some areas over the weekend. At least 2 water rescues in Parker. DIA had to keep planes grounded for a short time on Sunday. Hail piled up on roads and yards in Castle Rock and Aurora. Former President Trump scheduled to sit down with a probation officer today. He'll reportedly take part in a virtual interview with the officer in New York from his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. This comes after his conviction from Biden supporter Judge Mersham. Trump set to be sentenced July 11th. Mark Levin says this needs to be heard by the Supremes.
You've got to take it to the door of the Supreme Court. They will decide whether to take it or not. And if they don't, shame on them. Because if there was ever a basis for what we call a common law writ, it's this. And if they don't take it in the Trump case, they're going to have to take it in the future, because these dark blue states are not going to stop unless they're stopped.
The conservative majority Supreme Court has several big decisions pending before summer recess, including on cases regarding presidential immunity, the obstruction charges against the January 6th Capitol rioters, the FDA's approval of the mifepristone abortion pill, and abortion access in medical emergencies. 4 Israeli hostages were freed from Hamas in a military operation. The uncle of one of the hostages is so thankful he's alive.
I thank them for the support, because if he was alone, I believe we got someone else. We'll see it in the next few days, but he's okay. Yesterday, all his friends came, and it was a big party for him. All he wants is a cigarette and friends. This is what he wants.
U.S. officials pushing Hamas. Oh, man, right? That's what you want still.
Oh, that sounds great.
To this day.
Cigarette and some friends.
Hey, you get it, right? U.S. officials pushing Hamas to accept an Israeli proposed ceasefire deal to end the fighting in Gaza. Don't hold your breath on that one. Firefighters extinguishing a house fire in the Pinery Sunday night. The fire was reported along Running Fox Way, where they saw flames coming out of the home's attic when they arrived. 2 people were inside the home at the time, but they managed to escape unharmed. Neighbors reported seeing lightning hit the house right before the fire started, though fire officials haven't confirmed that yet. A mountain landslide has shut down part of the main road to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A section of State Route 22 that winds through the Teton Mountains between Idaho and the town of Jackson caved in on Saturday. The Wyoming Department of Transportation says no one was injured when the section catastrophically failed. The Rockies lose to the Cardinals 5-1. They start a series tonight in Minnesota. The Celtics lead the Mavericks 2-0 in the NBA Finals after another win on Sunday, and the Panthers try to go up 2-0 against the Oilers tonight in the Stanley Cup Finals. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. French Open third-seeded Carlos Alcaraz won his third career Grand Slam. 54 in Northglenn, 53 in Lone Tree, and 57 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. It's Monday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Here's your 710 5-day forecast. Good chance for thunderstorms again today. Partly to mostly cloudy, highs 80. Some thunderstorms could be strong to severe through evening. Lows tonight, upper 50s and lows 60s. Partly sunny Tuesday, highs 80s. Not as many thunderstorms, but a few. Mostly sunny and dry, warm. Low to mid-90s Wednesday, Thursday, upper 80s Friday. Friday and Saturday afternoon and evening thunderstorms return. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
This from the Wall Street Journal. How Israel pulled off a high-risk hostage rescue. You know, out of the 270, they've only gotten 7 back so far.
Jeez, that's
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
They had 3 originally, then they got 4 over the weekend. At 11:25 a.m. local time on Saturday, the Israeli military chief of staff, Herzi Halvi, was watching the situation from the command center in Shin Bet Security Agency and gave the order to go. The Israeli team overwhelmed the captors, hunkered down in 2 apartment blocks in Nuzuriet, I believe is how you pronounce that, in the center of the Gaza Strip. Israel's military later said the team came under fire as they left the building, leading to a street battle before the soldiers extracted the 4 hostages via helicopters on the beach. One Israeli officer was fatally wounded. The Israeli military said about 100 Palestinians were killed or wounded, including Hamas militants and civilians caught in the crossfire. So here's the challenging thing about rescuing them is that Hamas will shoot the hostages if they get a chance.
Yeah.
And so you have to overwhelm them and you kind of have to distract them. So they knew which building they were in, but they didn't want to just go after this one building. They went after 2, essentially the entire city block.
Yeah.
To kind of create this chaos and confusion, and then went in the middle of the day to throw them off, which was wild. And then what I heard too is that they dressed as Palestinians. The rescue guys did.
Yeah.
So that they didn't come in looking like Israeli soldiers.
And they also had built, they had done enough recon that they understood the buildings and they knew the layout of the buildings.
Yep.
And they did mock-ups in Israel of the buildings. So they practiced. What is the entry like? What are the hallways like? What are the doorways like? When you get into this, we think they're in this room and this flat. What's it like? What is the setup on that particular? Where's the bedrooms? Where's the bathrooms? And so they knew that, and they wanted to make sure they did it in the middle of the day, and it needed to come in with overwhelming force because one of the things that Hamas was doing is moving them from flat to flat at times.
Yeah.
So they could think that they may be in, let's just say, just for fun, 212B. And then once they figure out the Israelis are coming, they can move them to 314. They can move them down. They can get them out of the building. So the idea of getting to the building and making sure they couldn't move them before they got there was incredibly important. And that was a linchpin. I can't believe they nailed that one. That was incredibly important.
I mean, this is smart. And they had help from Americans. Americans were helping them execute this thing. And they ran them out to helicopters on the beach, and you can watch video of it.
That was amazing. That was like movie stuff.
Exactly.
Granted, not lit the same way or anything else, but it was that dramatic of seeing them run to the helicopters. And yes, all you needed was Arnold yelling, "Get to the chopper!" That's all you needed.
And then video of one of the girls in a pink shirt and jeans being put into the helicopter, takes off, and then you get this great call from the Israeli special forces back to their generals. We have the diamonds.
Yep. Yeah, which is so cool.
Man, that just gets me.
Yeah, it does.
We have the diamonds.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, you've got it. And again, it's that real life drama that we've seen play out in movies and TV shows. But this is real right in front of us. It was so cool. I watched that video a couple of times at the end just to see them leave, just because they had gone through so many struggles over 200 days. And finally, they're going back home. It was incredible.
Did you see some of the videos? It doesn't make for great audio because it's just people connecting with each other. But it's very powerful visually if you watch them, of the son reconnecting with the mother.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't seen her since October. And you put yourself in the shoes of a parent where you have a child that's been taken hostage and they're executing hostages.
Yes. And you know
get
that
them back.
And you know that. And again, you're absolutely right that Hamas will kill the hostage if they're in the right situation, because if the Israelis are coming to get the hostage ceases to have the value. Yep. And so the hostage being taken is worse than the dead hostage to them. So they want that hostage dead, because then it's not just they've taken away the hostage,
Yeah.
but if you can kill that individual, the individual can't come home. The pain and suffering is still inflicted upon the Israelis.
And you saw the jubilation in the streets in
Yes.
Israel. And there's one video where a lifeguard announces on the beach in Tel Aviv
Oh, I didn't see that.
that they have gotten hostages, and all the beachgoers cheering.
Oh, that's wonderful.
This was something that the people of Israel needed. This has been
I
a long,
agree.
drawn-out war, and you saw some members of the war cabinet resigning over the weekend,
Yep.
feeling like there's no plan moving forward. Then they get the hostages back, so that was good.
And a number of and I think it was, is it all the hostages? I think, I don't know if I remember correctly, if all the hostages, or at least half of them, 2 of the 4, were ones that were taken at that concert, where they broke in. And that's the idea too, is when you talk about the things that have gone wrong over the decades between Israel and Hamas, we still have to be reminded to go back that this specific conflict was started when Hamas went into Israel and took average citizens, didn't attack military targets, went into an actual concert and took hostages. That's different.
Really good text message here from Corey, our buddy Corey. Of the known or believed hostages, how many hostages have been proven to be alive? Proof of life provided by Hamas. Is it really possible that all the hostages are still alive? I don't think they are.
I don't think possible. No, my guess would be just based on there's going to be some collateral damage, and there should have been killed. The ones that I'm still worried about, of course, obviously the Americans, but those will be the last ones we get back because they are the most valuable because they're Americans.
This is from the New York Times. Roughly 120 captives remain in Gaza. They say the military has confirmed that at least 30 of them have died.
Jeez.
So
that's awful.
What you get from the reporting is that Israelis know where the hostages are.
Yeah.
It's just getting them before they're executed.
Yeah.
And then who's holding them is a huge story, almost just as big, which we're going to get to in just a second. I want to talk to you.
I got to tell you this before I get into the when I read who was holding them, I thought I was reading a fake news site.
Yeah.
It shocked me that much, but then it clicked and went, oh, damn. Makes sense. So we'll get to it in a second.
And it'll tick you off. Look, on Friday, we had Dr. Mike back in to the studio here. Dr. Mike with Rocky Mountain Dental Group. Guys, I spend a lot of time at a dentist's office, and it's not because I don't brush my teeth. I have genetic issues. That just means I got to spend a lot of time with my buddies who are dentists, get the work done. With all the work I've had done, believe me, finding a good dentist makes all the difference. Dr. Mike, absolutely fantastic guy. Got a chance to hang out with him again, talking stories, talking about the work that he's doing. He's having new people come to his practice as a result of being with KNUS, and he's loving it. And so we're helping him grow his business. He's helping support this studio and the station. He helps people like you and me look and feel amazing by providing the best dental care available. See for yourself all the 5-star reviews at RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. Here's one. I've been going there for over 20 years. Dr. Mike and his entire staff are outstanding. In fact, the same person always cleans my teeth. If you need an awesome dentist, Dr. Mike is your guy. If your gums are receding, it's critical to address this issue promptly. Dr. Mike is a top-tier expert in the pinhole surgical technique. This method requires no cutting, no sutures, and virtually no downtime. The procedure involves making a small hole in the tissue and gently repositioning the gums. Schedule a free consultation with Dr. Mike to discover the benefits of this revolutionary procedure. Call 303-233-1335. That's 303-233-1335, or visit RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. That's RockyMountainDentalGroup.com to book your free consultation today. All right, when we come back, the shocking story of who was actually hiding these hostages. Maybe you'll believe it, maybe you won't, but it is going to be a gut punch on what is happening there.
I thought it was the Onion. I thought it was the Babylon Bee. I didn't believe it.
So
I had
bad.
to check it and go, wait a minute, am I actually reading a legit website? This is crazy.
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in the UK, I'm John Beaver, and here are the top stories we're following. French President Emmanuel Macron has dissolved Parliament and called a surprise snap national election. The decision comes after the results of the separate European Parliament elections showed a resounding victory for his far-right opponents. Elsewhere in Europe, right-wing parties also did well in a number of countries, including Germany and Austria. Meanwhile, the United States and France have come up with a plan to use profits generated by sanctioned Russian assets to help Ukraine. President Biden was in France for D-Day commemorations, which were also attended by Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky. Jagriti Dave has more.
The US and its Western allies have been trying to find a way to use Russian money that's been subject to Western sanctions in order to help Ukraine. Over the weekend, Presidents Biden and Macron released a roadmap that includes the use of those funds. Now, the majority of frozen funds from Russia's central bank, that's almost $300 billion worth, is located in the European Union. The EU says the profits generated from those funds technically don't belong to Russia. Russia, however, says that any attempt to seize those funds, those profits, would be tantamount to theft. In Washington, Jagriti Dave, Salem News Channel.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm John Boebert in the UK on Salem News Channel.
We are off and running on a Monday morning on the Jeff and Bill show. So Israeli hostages rescued over the weekend by a daring daylight rescue. Israeli special forces, aided by the U.S. military, got 4 hostages back. Very powerful video. Incredible moment for Israel. A lot of celebrating in the streets because they've only gotten 7 of them back alive so far, the 240 that were originally taken. So this was a big moment. This was a moment that Israel needed. But the secondary story on this was almost just as shocking. The person allegedly holding 3 of the hostages was an Al Jazeera journalist. IDF reporting that his name was Abdallah al-Jamal. He was a Hamas terrorist, and he is a journalist, Gaza-based reporter and photojournalist for Al Jazeera. He often reports from the ongoing March of Return protests at the fence separating besieged Gaza from Israel. So Al Jazeera's got some explaining to do.
Yeah, they do.
These are the dudes that run around with the little press vests on.
Yeah, and I'm really curious about this one, and this is the only reason why is Al Jazeera's very short stint in America. I knew a couple of people. I do know them.
Are they
a couple
not
of
here
people that work
anymore?
there. I don't think so. Well, I know.
Really?
I know the place that where my friend worked was closed down. That office per se. So I don't know if they do. But said it was, their journalistic ethics and code, at least here, were solid. He said, in fact, it was better than what he saw in some other newsrooms he had been. He was impressed. He showed up first because the paycheck was very nice. And then said he was impressed based on the type of work they wanted to do and what they were doing. But it was short-lived. It was only a few years. And then they closed down his office and he went and had to get another job. But would I be surprised that they were holding up certain ethics here and they wouldn't be holding them up somewhere else, where that maybe having someone that's involved in the terrorist organization or someone involved in that Palestinian movement would be better for them journalistically. Although it really hurts your reputation that you can't figure out this person's a terrorist. I mean, imagine anything at all. Imagine if a reporter from the New York Times was outed as being a neo-Nazi. You have a reporter for the Washington Post, member of Antifa. And we had a Colorado Springs.
I was going to say we had Colorado Springs, and then it was the Colorado Times Recorder.
Exactly.
Yep, we knew.
Yeah,
we don't care.
Exactly. And so, and the idea is if they know, and that's fair, they can go ahead and hire whoever they want. But how does it color everybody else's opinion of that outlet? Because I'll guarantee once the middle of the road people found out that Colorado Times Recorder had someone from Antifa on the payroll, it colors how you view the news, and it colors your expectations, changes the expectations of what you expect from that outlet, which is, again, fair. Totally changes your expectations, Al Jazeera. Well,
so Heidi Beadle is the person that is the Antifa reporter down in Colorado Springs. And I saw Heidi walking by when we were broadcasting live down at the Colorado Republican.
Oh,
by the way,
come over.
How Heidi got to remain in the Colorado Republican.
Exactly.
Well, was the Colorado
NPR,
Sun?
Yeah.
Or
the
the
Colorado
NPR?
Sun or the NPR gal.
NPR
Sun, yeah. One of the two. Yeah.
But I went, Heidi, come on.
Yeah.
You got to come over here and take a picture and say hi. And just because they're all such leftist wacko journalists sometimes. And
you got to let them know you know who they are, too.
Not be mean,
but let them know.
And then just, the Bible says that, treating your enemies nicely is like pouring oil on their heads. They don't quite know what to do with it. So Heidi hesitated. She kind of at first, I don't know what pronoun to use with Heidi, but Heidi was taking a picture of me because it's a trans woman, right? It's goes from guy to girl.
Yeah.
That's trans woman, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Heidi takes a picture of me and I go, Heidi, come on. You got to come over. Say hi.
Yeah. Don't just take pictures like that. Come say hi.
Tried to secretly take a picture of me setting up the 710K in US
How much
booth.
better is your story instead of just taking a picture of the booth if you're standing here with the dude doing the that's a much better picture of the story. It's much better.
So every conservative who's like, yeah, journalists are just lefto activist whack jobs. And then who's holding the hostages?
Yeah.
a journalist.
Yep.
Now,
And
they're
remember,
denying it, though.
It's also Al Jazeera. So Al Jazeera is it's the Islamic Muslim, it's already the idea of they hate the Israelis. So this just is basically confirmation bias. This absolutely confirms every other stereotype that everyone had about Al Jazeera by saying they're just in bed with the Arabs and they're entirely motivated with destroying Israel and then hopefully after that the rest of Western culture. And this confirms that. And I am baffled by whoever the editor is above them, that if they knew in any way, shape, or form.
They are denying it.
Oh,
so
I know they are. Of course they are.
Al Jazeera listed Al Jamal as an author on its website. Reportedly wrote at least one article for Al Jazeera, but the Jerusalem bureau chief of the now closed Al Jazeera office there, there's no office, Al Jazeera office in Jerusalem. Denied that Al Jamal worked for Al Jazeera. He told Fox News Digital via the WhatsApp message. This man is not from Al Jazeera. He did not work for Al Jazeera at all, and he is not listed as working for Al Jazeera, neither now nor in the past. We do not know him, and all the rumors that have been spread are empty of content and not true at all. Al Jazeera plans to sue anyone disseminating claims that Al Jamal is connected to the outlet.
We're gonna get sued
by Al Jazeera. No, we're this is all allegedly.
Yep.
This is all allegedly.
The reports out there that he worked with them. And again, I've seen some of the writings, and I know that he's got some stuff that is authored on Al Jazeera because I've seen that aggregated by other websites. How much he was working, no, but the idea that they did at one point or another give him a paycheck, and their thing is no, not a worker. Okay, but at least come out and say this person did X this amount of times. We are not affiliated with them regularly, and we are shocked and appalled and can't support this. That's the weird part about this. In the entire statements from Al Jazeera and the denial, it never had anything to do about him doing stuff that was bad. They never were condemning his actions and saying we would not associate with someone like this.
Right.
This is not a person we would employ, which if it was, I was going to say Washington Post or New York Times and something came out of someone in a neo-Nazi or even Antifa, they'd go, we don't associate with this. We don't support it. We don't. Yeah. You would distance your organization from the controversy. And none of the statements I saw from Al Jazeera distanced them from the controversy, which to me calls into question. It calls into question that maybe the relationship is actually closer than they're actually leading us to believe, because they're not trying to create that degree of separation.
But I don't see Israelis having to make this up. This would be a weird thing to make up because you've already got the hostages back. That's the moment. That's the celebration. This becomes almost it's secondary. But it doesn't.
And you do want to know who was holding on to him and why. But why would they make this up? Why is this, of all the things you could invent, and it's just this? They could make a whole lot more. There's so many more things they could make up. It could be an Iranian terrorist cell that was operating inside of Gaza. It could be the Iranians and Russians and the Chinese. I mean, there's so many bigger conspiracies you could invent than just this if you were really trying to do it.
Fox News continues. Last week, a Tel Aviv Jaffa district court determined that there is a close connection between Al Jazeera and Hamas. The court's deputy president said that based on a review of classified documents, the picture that emerges from the documents demonstrates categorically and with convincing, clear, unambiguous evidence the close long-term connection between the Hamas terror organization and the Al Jazeera media network, with the Hamas terror organization advancing its goals through the channel. Israeli military experts told Fox News Digital that Al Jazeera uses its reporters to track Israeli military movements and then delivers the information to Hamas. They said that the evidence shows that Al Jazeera has harmed Israel's national security.
Now, that's interesting. Now, I don't know and can't corroborate the use of the reporters, but I can, just based on, and I do browse, not regularly, but semi-regularly, probably I'm there once every 2 weeks, go through Al Jazeera's website. And they have been way too sympathetic, in my opinion, for the Palestinians and the position of Hamas. Way too sympathetic. I would understand why, because they're kind of the voice for the Arab world, but there is a shocking lack of anything as far as an Israeli perspective, which you would, again, want from a news source that is saying that we are above board, from a news source saying that we are going to, we aren't trying to pick sides or another. So I do believe that, yes, Al Jazeera absolutely is tilted that direction, but not unexpected, because again, it is the voice of the Arab world. However, if you wanted to be the voice of the Arab world that is respected everywhere, you may not want to show the bias so openly. The number of times I've seen reports from them with their reporters on the ground inside of Palestine, talking about, the attacks, talking about damage, but they never refer back to what's going on in Israel. They never refer to things like the hostages. They never refer to what started the fight. They never refer to the number of Israelis that have died. They never refer to some of the other things. It's always, this is horrible, this is awful, and I can't believe this is happening right now, and these people are horrible for doing this.
Well, and the fact that the hostages were in a residential apartment building.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Like, you get these arguments all the time that Israelis are attacking Palestinian civilians and hospitals and schools. Well, guys, don't put your hostages in apartment buildings with civilians if you don't want it to be attacked.
Yeah, it's something that, again, Jeff, you and I both have 4 kids. And as a parent, there's always that moment where the child has done something really ridiculous. And you kind of look at them and go, what did you think was going to happen? When you made this series of choices that ends up with soap all over the place and we've got 3 inches of water in the bathroom, what did you think was going to happen when you went through this process of decision making? And that would be my discussion to anyone that is upset with the Israelis taking out Palestinian civilians when they go after targets like these hostages. What do you think was going to happen? If they place them in and around civilians, the logical conclusion is that civilians are going to get hurt if you try to get them back. I understand the premise of, if we put them with the civilians, they won't get them because they don't want to hurt the civilians. No. You're thinking about that incorrectly. What you've done is you've ensured those civilians are going to be harmed if people come and try to get back the people that belong to their country. You've actually ensured them being harmed. So stop complaining about it.
And
you
so
put them in that
why
situation.
the Palestinians continue to support these guys, I don't know. Great text messages coming in from Jay from Louisville. Thanks so much for he pointing out that Israel had kicked Al Jazeera out just a few weeks ago, back in May. Israel ordered the local offices of Al Jazeera's satellite news network to close Sunday and kick them out of Israel. So thanks for sending it. I love the fact that you all participate in this conversation. Send us some text messages. Help add to the conversation. Thank you, Jay from Louisville. All right. When we come back, you got You Choose the News. I want to talk to you real quick about QC Kinetics Denver. Are you tired of living with constant back pain, elbow pain, knee pain, joint pain? That's what happens as you get older. You're not alone. It affects millions and impacts the quality of your life, but there's hope. My friends at QC Kinetics Denver offer regenerative medical treatments. What does that mean? It's non-surgical, drug-free, right? You don't want to go under the knife quite yet because that's going to take a long time to recover. As we age, lower back pain becomes common, from muscle strains to herniated discs. Symptoms like muscle aches and shooting pain can worsen with time. Why risk surgery when there's a safer option? With no downtime and a free consultation, QC Kinetics often provides same-day treatment. Visit my friends at QC Kinetics and revolutionize your approach to lower back pain. Call 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986, or visit painfreecolorado.com to schedule your free consultation today. Painfreecolorado.com. Be sure to tell them Jeff Hunt sent you. All right. When we come back, You Choose the News. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's do You Choose the News, Billy.
Yes, it's that time of the morning where we get to play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. I spent mere moments this morning scouring the interwebs for these ridiculous stories to give even more ridiculous headlines to them. Why? To play this fake radio news game. Because, well, it's a lot of fun and nobody in charge knows that we are doing it. They don't wake up for about another 10 minutes. That's when the alarm goes off, so we are under the clock, gentlemen. Blake Olson and Jeff Hunt are going to be choosing the stories. All right, and a reminder, this is proudly not sponsored by Roll 'em Out Shelves. They will come to your home and give you a free in-home estimate to organize your kitchen, bath, garage, wherever that clutter is. They've got custom-built solutions. But whatever you do, do not mention You Choose the News. They are a proud supporter of 710 KNUS, but they are a serious company that will not be associated with anything this ridiculous. RollEmOutShelves.com. All righty, gentlemen, here are your headlines today. Headline number 1, bogus ban for righteous rip. Headline number 2, she's a nutcase. Headline number 3, even more reasons to think about sex. And headline number 4, retail law enforcement. Mr. Hunt, your choice, sir.
She's a nutcase.
Yes, she's a nutcase. At least that's what they're saying about a Long Island woman, because the federal judge is allowing her class action lawsuit to go forward. She is suing Cold Stone Creamery because of a serious lack of nuts, specifically pistachios. She recently had pistachio ice cream and said, this tastes a little different. She went and researched the actual ingredients on the Cold Stone Creamery website.
Nope.
Guess what? Not even a member of the cashew family.
Not even one.
Not even a member. And
Wow.
so she says that is false advertising. If you're going to give me pistachio ice cream, it needs to have pistachios in it. Otherwise, it needs to be labeled as pistachio flavored ice cream, because that's all they are using. And the New York judge agreed with her. So if you have been denutted by Cold Stone Creamery, I did on purpose, you can help and maybe file in that class action lawsuit. All righty, sir. Now we go to Blake Olson in the newsroom. Your choice, sir. Bogus ban for righteous rip. Even more reasons to think about sex, or retail law enforcement.
Even more reasons to think about sex.
Yes, as if we need another one. But a bunch of the science hippies, University of Oxford, say there may be even more reasons for us to be using Viagra, because it'll combat dementia. They're finding out that it does increase blood flow to all sorts of constricted blood vessels. And it doesn't just make little Jimmy excited. It actually can increase the blood flow in your brain. And so they're targeting it, and they're seeing increased blood flow in large and small brain vessels. They're seeing enhanced blood flow response and carbon dioxide exchanges. And they're also seeing some lowered blood vessel resistance in the brain. So all in all, the little blue pill might actually fight dementia.
How do you take that to help the brain without dealing with all the side effects all day?
I don't know. I have no idea. But at least you'll be able to figure out when you're in the old folks' home who's taking their medicine. As you're walking down the hall, you're like, all right, Mr. Smith, I'm glad to see you taking home today.
God has built in an indicator. It's like a little flag.
Exactly.
This guy's taking his medicine.
Exactly.
That's right.
All righty. Mr. Hunt, final choice this morning, sir. Bogus ban for righteous rip or retail law enforcement?
Let's talk about that bogus ban for righteous rip.
It was a bogus ban for righteous rip, dude, earlier this week. Say, a dude that is a total fish fan, man, was in the Sphere and he got banned. It's totally not cool. It's because he had pulled out his bong and ripped a big one, man, and then posted on social media. However, MSG Entertainment, that is in control of the Sphere, says, smoking the devil's lettuce inside the venue, that's not cool. You are banned permanently, sir, from all Sphere activities and also all MSG properties, which includes Madison Square Garden, Chicago Theater, a bunch of other stuff. But wait, there's more. Looks like the lawyers involved with MSG were actually the ones hitting the bong as well, because they overstepped their bounds, and MSG, just as of yesterday, rescinded the ban on the fish fan. So evidently, next time you're in Vegas, you can smoke the ganja inside the Sphere.
Do you think he's figured out all this has happened? I can imagine him. There's all of this taking place,
he's like, what?
And he doesn't even know.
He has no clue. He's like, we did what? Where? Huh? What is this?
Banned? No, I'm unbanned.
I can't
cool,
believe.
Here's
the thing. Is okay, if you saw the video, and I was doing some research this weekend, he gets a pretty large glass bong into the Sphere. Who is doing the searching?
Security.
What is security patting him down for? I don't know. It seems like to me that they're checking for chiclets when I get searched.
Yeah,
but
right.
no, somehow dude gets a bong inside and then is able to go and then goes and then posts it on social media. What kind of security is there at the Sphere? That is ridiculous. Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
So he is. He'll be back, I guess, right?
He is going to be back. Yeah, but again, if there was anybody that was going to be the first person to rip a bong at the Sphere, it's going to be a fish fan. I mean, come on! If you've been up there at Red Rocks, you know how these things roll. That is it. That is the end of You Choose the News. As always, I am just a giant loser. Jeff and Blake are your winners today. And remember, this is not proudly sponsored by Roll 'Em Out Shelves. Do visit them at rollemoutshelves.com. They will do a free in-home estimate. But whatever you do not tell them you heard about it here on You Choose the News. Last person that did that. Not me, but it's just kind of letting you know. Stop that. All righty, back to you, sir.
All right, the Jefferson County Republicans telling Dave Williams, you got to get out of here. Too much division. Well, Nacy Pallozzi is going to join us just next. And Dave Williams has a response as well to all this, basically saying, cancel me, you're canceling Jesus. What are you doing, Republicans? The civil war within the Colorado Republican Party continues, and joining us in the 7 o'clock hour live here is Nacy Pallozzi. You're not going to want to miss that conversation. Billy, what do you think?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. And David sent us a little video response. We've got something coming from him. So see what
That's
happens.
right. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. It is Monday, June 10th. The sun is shining, and you have tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, center, crazy. And we're about to get into a civil war, the Colorado Republicans civil war, in just a second. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up here in just a second, the chairwoman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, Nacy Pallozzi, is going to join us on the show to talk about her call for the resignation of State Party Chairman Dave Willaims. Dave's got a response for her, too. We'll get into it and more right after the news. Let's check in on the Blake Olson News. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. 60 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the low 90s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, former President Trump scheduled to sit down with a probation officer today, reportedly from his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. He'll do it virtually. This comes after his conviction from Biden supporter Judge Mersham, of course. Trump set to be sentenced July 11th, and Trump in Nevada Sunday, and maintains his sense of humor and energy.
It's 110, but it doesn't feel it to me, right? So we'll stay out here for a little while. If anybody gets tired, you'll let me know. And if anybody goes down, if you start going down, we have people, they'll pick you up right away. They'll throw water.
They'll throw water on you. I love it. Hunter Biden's federal firearms trial picks back up today in Delaware. The president's son is accused of illegally buying and possessing a gun while on crack in 2018. There's been no official word yet, but it is possible that Hunter will take the stand. 4 Israeli hostages were freed from Hamas in a military operation over the weekend. The uncle of one of the hostages said that one of the reasons his nephew survived is because he had other hostages near him.
I thank them for the support, because if he was alone, I believe we got someone else. We'll see it in the next few days, but it's okay. Yesterday, all his friends came, and it was a big party for him. All he wants is a cigarette and friends. This is what you want.
U.S. officials pushing Hamas to accept an Israeli proposed ceasefire deal to end the fighting in Gaza. They're terrorists. Don't hold your breath. Don't plan on going tubing in Clear Creek anytime soon. That's now banned, along with rafts, belly boats, and swimming to keep people safe. The water level and flow of the creek is expected to rise this week due to melting snowpack. Another tragedy on the Roaring Fork River over the weekend. First responders rescued 2 men Saturday when their rafts capsized at the Basalt Whitewater Park, and they were carried downstream. A 74-year-old was taken to the hospital but could not be saved in time. The 61-year-old friend who he was with had minor injuries. A mountain landslide has shut down part of the main road to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A section of State Route 22 that winds through the Teton Mountains between Idaho and the town of Jackson caved in on Saturday. The Wyoming Department of Transportation says no one was injured and will get to work on rebuilding it as soon as possible.
We know how important it is to the economy of Jackson, especially now when we're coming into the summer months. We'll get it done.
Yep, it could really hurt the economy as the community relies on summer tourism, and will affect the cost of everything in the area. U.S. Olympic team snubbed Caitlin Clark. She won't be on the team for the 2024 games, even though she's the biggest name in women's basketball in, I don't know, the history of the game. Dummies.
I don't get this.
No, I do. It's jealousy, envy, and greed. That's what it is. And it's,
there's
ugly.
the term henpecking You heard that?
Yeah,
So
I've
that is real.
Yes,
we
it
own
is.
chickens, and if the other hens decide they don't like you, they
right.
peck the crud out of you.
That's right.
That seems to be what's happening here. The ladies in the WNBA, but
Girl fights.
It doesn't make any sense to me that you wouldn't. It's being like Michael Jordan in was 96 Dream Team or something like that, and just being like, or 92, just being like, nah.
The popularity of their game is going through the roof because of her. Because of her. And I agree with some people. I've heard a few people say she should just retire, for a year or two and see how they like it without her.
Well, it does. You know how sometimes you can just show up to another country and compete on their athletic teams?
Absolutely.
Just, do you have a relative that's from Ireland? And just go play for the Irish and
exactly
make America lose and just be like, yeah, you messed up.
Exactly. And that, I don't think she would do that, but boy, I could see where she
sure would send a message.
No doubt. No doubt. She said, she told her coach that they woke a giant. So hopefully she scores 40 points every night and just embarrasses them once again. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Now, I know that I'm normally the contrarian, but for me, if I was Caitlin Clark, I would be happy that I'm not on this team.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
I would like to. A couple of reasons. First, she's young. She's still got 4 more years. She's got probably 2 more cycles of Olympics that she can get to. Right now, she's
3.
Yeah. It should be. But right now, she's blending into the WNBA and blending into their culture. And one of the things that annoys me in international soccer is when they take international breaks and those players go and play for the national team and then have to come back and play at home.
That's right.
The break that those players that are not on national teams get is really, really good for them physically and mentally. For me, if I'm Caitlin Clark, I would like to be on the U.S. Olympic team. Yes, I feel it's a snub. However, it gives me some extra time to iron out the little details that I need to work on as a rookie. What are the things that I feel I'm not very good at this time? Or, this is a time where instead of her dealing with the media and everything else and going off into Paris, she can spend an extra 2 hours in the day with the gym. So now I'm going to hit that corner 3 every single time. You give Caitlin Clark a little more time to tune up and get used to what's going on that WNBA court. I think it's going to be dangerous. For me, it would be hard. It would be hard ego-wise.
I could see you're finding the silver lining in it.
Yeah,
but
that's
if you're the or if you're women's basketball, your viewership just tanked.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Here's the thing is, and this is a nice conversation between the politics and the athleticism contained inside the team, because in international soccer, you see this a lot where the up and coming new star kid gets put on the national team and he never actually sees the field. He shows up, he may get 5 minutes late in the game when you're blowing out someone, but he's there just because it's the political thing to do. He gets and what they do is they say, and I'm going to use the air quotes, he's getting experience. He's learning from the older crowd how to behave. This is going to pay dividends in the future. We know all the lines they're going to say. So while I think that politically this is a very, very bad look for women's basketball, and especially given the focus on her, you could have created a lot of new little girls wearing U.S. women's basketball jerseys. That's not going to happen. However, if I was Caitlin, I would be upset. I'd be pissed, but I'd be happy I'm not going.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. And she said it. She's going to be a monster, and that's exactly what's going to happen. They would have made a lot more money on endorsements, all of them, all of the players, but not now. Have fun. No one's going to watch. Rocks lose to the Cardinals 5-1. Start a series tonight in Minnesota. The Celtics lead the Mavericks 2-0 in the NBA Finals after another win on Sunday. The Panthers try to go up 2-0 against the Oilers, tied in the Stanley Cup Finals. And it is 55 in Arvada, 56 in Littleton, and 60 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. It is Monday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Here's your 710 5-day forecast. Good chance for thunderstorms again today. Partly to mostly cloudy, highs 80. Some thunderstorms could be strong to severe through evening. Lows tonight, upper 50s and lows 60s. Partly sunny Tuesday. highs 80. Not as many thunderstorms, but a few. Mostly sunny and dry, warm. Low to mid-90s Wednesday, Thursday, upper 80s Friday. Friday and Saturday afternoon and evening thunderstorms return. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Jefferson County Republicans calling for the state chairman to resign. In a statement released late last week, numerous Colorado Republican county chairs and other county party officers, members of the Colorado State Central Committee in all 64 counties, and many Republican candidates are asking for Republican State Party Chairman Mr. Dave Willaims to immediately resign. The Colorado Republican Party represents over 1 million registered Republicans. However, since March 2024, we have witnessed State Chairman Dave Willaims continually encouraging division instead of unifying the party. Examples of this are numerous emails endorsing President Trump prior to the presidential primary, violating the Colorado Republican State Party's long-established position of primary election neutrality. Then surveys aligned with the state committee's issues positions were sent to all Republican candidates, mandating that they complete it to determine if the state party would give them their endorsement. Finally, this week, a very divisive email message was sent that is not in alignment with the voices of over 1 million Republicans in the state of Colorado. As the county Republican Party leaders, the time has come for us to say we've had enough. We're standing up for our constituents, our candidates, and all who want to see positive change in our state. It is clear Dave Willaims' leadership does not align with the majority of Colorado Republicans, especially after this last email message, which was titled, "God Hates Pride." We are asking Mr. Willaims to immediately resign his position as chairman of the Colorado Republican Party. We urge him to step down to allow us to bring in a new chair who will help build our party, support all of our candidates and county organizations, and bring unity. Joining us is the author of that statement. She's the chairwoman of the Jefferson County Republicans, Nacy Pallozzi. Thanks so much for joining us on the Jeff and Bill Show, Nacy.
Hey, good morning.
Yes, good morning, you two. How are you?
We're good. We had Dave on Friday. He's the chairman of the state party. He gave us his side of this. We'll let you give your side. This is a big move. We're just getting into the primaries. We're just getting into the general election season, and you are calling for Dave Willaims to step down. Give us your reasoning.
Well, first of all, I need to correct something in terms of this. This is not the Jefferson County Republicans calling for this. I was just a person who is speaking on behalf of many leaders within the state asking for this.
Yeah, I was a little interested in that because their names aren't listed on here. Can you tell us who those folks are?
Hopefully you received the press release that I sent out this morning, and that will include all of the counties so far that have signed on to this. To be able to sign on as a county, it's a little bit more complicated than people think. We actually, as chairs, have to get together with our ExCom or executive committees and ask for the vote for them to approve this. So we have lots of counties that are ready to do this in terms of chairs. However, we have to get together with our other leaders within each county to make sure that they approve this before we put our name out there. I did this primarily because many of us chairs have been talking amongst each other for months about this. And when this email came out last Monday, it really was kind of the straw that, broke the camel's back on this one. This is not who we are as Republicans. We are not about hate. We're not about calling people out that way.
But Nacy, you're not opposed to the Republican Party's national platform that marriage is between one man and one woman, right? Is it the issue of Republicans standing on traditional marriage that's the problem, or is it the tone of the email that was the problem?
It was the tone of the email that was the problem. No, we do stand with the issue of the man and woman with marriage, of course.
And give me a sense of how many counties are signing on to this. And is there a process? If Dave says, no, I'm not going to resign, what do you do?
Well, he's not going to resign. He's already kind of publicly made that statement to a couple of reporters. So there is a process that goes in with this. Right now, we have the votes. We have you have to have 25% of the SEC, we call it, which is the state central committee. You have to have 25% of them to sign up to say, yes, we want to call it a special meeting of the SEC. And I have those numbers. I have more than that. And so we're going to present that to Mr. Willaims tomorrow, Tuesday. And then he has the ability to call the meeting with a specific date and time and place for us to have this such meeting that all 400 plus voting members can be together in one room to vote upon this issue.
And likely, you think you'll get the votes to be able to force his exit?
Yes, I'm pretty confident we have to have a 60% vote out of the 400 plus state central committee members, and so I'm pretty confident we're going to have that 60%.
Now, Nacy, you know how we roll on the show here. Normally, I'm the contrarian, so I am going to take the opposite position and just say, is this smart at this point in time, since we're running into a 2024 election? We have a slate of candidates. Is this the time to remove Dave Willaims, or should be done post-election, because changing coaches at this point in the season could lead to some detrimental consequences? Your response?
Well, I appreciate that question. And yes, some people have actually emailed me or called me about that exact thing. We wouldn't be in this situation if he wouldn't have put out that email. So I guess Dave made that choice to do that himself. We wouldn't have done this. So I know we have a primary coming on with him, with CD5 running in that primary. And I've been told that I'm running, I'm being a Democrat and trying to run his election with the primary. That's just not my purpose at all. And I haven't talked about the CD5 race in any way. And none of us have. This is about communicating and representing the Republican Party of 900,000 plus Republicans and over 1 million conservatives here in the state. And he chose to put that email out there of hate and in a Twitter asking to burn pride flags. Well, that's not who we are. We are not a party of hate. And,
now, Nacy, what I'm hearing from you is that you'd be okay if Dave continues his run for CD5. You just want him removed from being a party chair. And the reason is because of, in part, the recent email about God-hating pride, how that is more, you feel, more of his own personal position than actually the position that the Colorado Republican Party should be taking at this time.
Yes, you're exactly right. I mean, if he put this out on a personal email, personally by himself, I'd have no problem with that. But don't be putting the Republicans in this position. He is the voice of the Republican Party here in the state, and this was not acceptable.
Talking with Nacy Pallozzi, she's the chairwoman of the Jefferson County Republicans, leading an effort with other county chairs to call for the resignation of Dave Willaims. Nacy, the email is titled "God Hates Pride." Do you think God loves pride?
I think God loves everybody. It has nothing to do with pride. Calling that out, that email was just not right in any way. I mean, we don't condone what was in that email, of course. I don't condone that, but it could have been said in a different way. It could have been, I don't know. It just is not who we are as Republicans. And many of us chairs feel the same way. I mean, he progressively has gotten to this point. He's done things, the first email that came out was he endorsed Trump. Okay, well, we kind of let it go a little bit here. It wasn't what, he was supposed to do. but he says that he could because it's because of the bylaws that was passed, blah, blah, blah. Well, and then it went into, let's send out a survey to all the candidates, and if you comply and you say what we want you to say, then we'll endorse you as candidates. And then we come out and we have this, and as chairs here, we're like, what is he going to do next? We need somebody here that's going to unify the party, who's going to back our Republican candidates and help them to the finish line. That's what the chair is all about.
On Friday, Dave joined us, and he said, his frustration is that the LGBT community has gone so far on grooming kids, performing sexually provocative shows before kids, embracing this trans ideology that's permanently sterilizing kids. He wants the Republican Party to be a bold voice in opposition to what the LGBT community is doing, particularly to children. He's not that concerned about what they do as adults, or, he's not challenging that. It's the kids. And he feels like the Republican Party needs to have a bold response to fight back against this. What's wrong with that?
Well, I just don't feel that this is there is an issue out there. We all know this. And I agree as a person that we need to make the public aware of what's going on. But it is such a very small percentage, probably, I'm sure less than 1%. I haven't researched it. But we need to educate the public and let them be aware of this issue. But this isn't something that a state party for the Republican party here in Colorado should be bringing.
Dave was asked about all this during a debate recently. Here was his response. I'd like to get your reaction to this. Here's Dave Willaims at a debate talking about the Pride email controversy.
Again, I do not care what some Pride organizers think about what we're doing. What I care about is protecting our children. What I care about is advancing biblical principles. And what I care about is what the Lord has to say. If that costs me this election, if that costs me everything, so be it, because my reward isn't here. I don't know about Jeff. I'm not looking at June of 2024. I'm looking for eternity. That's where I'm headed. And if I do everything right and I get crucified for it, so be it, because I'm not greater than my master, Jesus Christ.
Dave Willaims saying he stands with Jesus Christ on this. What say you, Nacy?
Well, how does this actually reflect how his position is to get Republicans elected into office? I guess this is a personal thing with him, but it's not his responsibility. His responsibility is to get Republicans elected into office.
And his point
is not helping that.
His point would be that standing bold would draw people. Your argument that we need to build a bigger tent by drawing people in with honey instead of vinegar?
Well, we live in Colorado. I mean, look at this all. We can't be these hardcore conservative people, even though we feel that way. And I'm a very conservative person as well. But this is not helping us. We have to be able to elect Republicans to get into office, to go down to the Capitol and fight the good fight down there. That's the enemy down there, is at the Gold Dome.
Yeah, Nacy, one of the things that kind of reflecting on the clip that Dave Willaims sent us, and I appreciate his stance on it, but I had a little bit of a mental hiccup when he talked about his reward being eternal and saying he's not looking for this, the primary election. He's not looking. I'm sorry, I'm throwing the BS flag on that. Yeah, you are. You're looking for a reward here because you're trying to win the primary and you're trying to be a senator. So don't tell me this thing that you are taking this big. I'm sorry, Congressman. Yeah, it's because of CD4. Don't tell me that you're not looking for recognition. You're not looking for a reward. That you're not doing this out of, in some sense, something that you want and desire. If it was really about pride, then you would be choosing a different path. You wouldn't be trying to get into the legislature. You wouldn't be running a state political party. You would be doing something that is much more focused on that being an issue. And in my experience, those individuals that have been truly committed to making sure that their reward is secured in heaven, they're not in politics. They're in the church. They're missionaries. They're out there doing charity work. That's not where you find them. I spent time volunteering with my grandmother in a food bank. She was there because her reward was in heaven, not because of politics. That wasn't why she was there. Had nothing to do with it. And I really, really find it, I don't want to say offensive, but it's really bothersome when Dave refers to this eternal reward and then reflects back on the fact that he's running for earthly gain and earthly recognition right now. Don't conflate the two. Don't tell me you're doing it for one when you're doing it for the other.
Right. And we're seeing that. He's not doing this for the party. He's doing it for him.
Nacy Pallozzi, she's the chairwoman of the Jefferson County Republican Party. Who do you think would be a good chairperson for Colorado?
Well, I have 3 people who have put their names out to me in terms of running. So we'll see what happens when this meeting is called. They'll be able to do their speeches and speak before the Central Committee, and we'll find a leader. I think that we need somebody who is neutral about this, who actually cares and wants to enhance this party. Somebody who will support the candidates, because we ultimately need to win elections this year.
Help me understand how this isn't an effort to weaken Republican Party principles. If we're concerned that we need to bring in the LGBT community to help win, or at least people that are neutral, like you just mentioned, neutral towards them, in order to win efforts, are we abandoning our principles in order to do that?
No, I don't think we're abandoning our principles. I think that we care. We have to understand where we live and our conditions in terms of that as well. You know, this is not Texas. This is not Florida. This is Colorado. And you know, I'm a native here, and we once were a very conservative state, but we are not anymore. And we have to think about that, and we have compassion, and we care about people. And that's what God wants us to do, right?
Great. So how can folks continue to follow these stories? Will you be posting them on your X account, GOP_Jeffco?
We'll be putting some things out there. I did put out a press release today, this morning, so I hope everybody has received that with the counties that are on board. And in a couple of days, we'll be sending out another press release with the names that have signed on to ask for his resignation. So that's it's a little bit longer of a process than I was hoping, but we'll get everything out there to the public so everybody knows what's going on.
I'm looking for that on the X account, and I did get an email press release. Do you mind just go through real quickly the other counties that are signed on?
Oh, here, I got to sign on my computer.
Yeah, we'll give you a second on that. By the way, feel free to give us a call, 303-696-1971. That's 303-696-1971. Let us know what you think about this. A good effort to get rid of some of the division that's taken place within the Republican Party to clear away for some wins in November, or a continued effort to create division in the Republican Party that's a distraction from what we need to be doing. Love to hear from you, or text us on the 710 KNUS app. Lots of text messages coming in. Nacy, have you had a chance to pull up any of those other counties?
I am right now. Hold on.
Great. Yeah, I'm interested to hear this because I've heard talk behind the scenes from other counties as well about this, and I'm interested to see if they will pull this together. I'm also interested to see who wants to step up to run this thing.
Yeah, that's
Bill,
a big
how much
question.
would they have to pay you to be the chairman of the Republican
actually,
Party right now?
to be the chairman of the GOP of Colorado GOP, I'd do it for free, just because.
You would.
Oh, absolutely,
You
just
would.
because of it. Just, I mean, the idea that people go, wait, what? I mean, you want to come out of complete left field of something totally unexpected? Yeah,
Billy.
absolutely. I would be. Oh my God, that would. I'm not certain that I would last more than a week though, because there are going to be some people there who want me out immediately. But hey, we'll make news and we'll do some interesting things. I'll guarantee that. How about you, Jeff? You want to do it?
I've at points thought about it. I think maybe one day in the future, I think this would be a really fun job because I'm a coalition builder and I like bringing people together. I'm probably the only person in America that worked for Mitt Romney and speaks at Biker for Trump rallies.
Yeah, that's right.
And then when they introduce me as that, I'm afraid I'm going to get shanked. So I
got to get you one of those Roddy Piper jackets.
Look, I build coalitions towards a common vision, but I worked for a state party chair at one point, and the amount of time you have to spend out, I'm not doing that to my family. So the kids would have to be out of the house, which is not going to happen for 10 more years.
Oh,
so
okay.
When that happens, or 8 years, 7 years,
then
oh my
maybe.
gosh, they're aging quickly.
Oh,
7 or 8
ridiculous. You
years.
just wait.
Possibly, but when I worked for the state party, the chairman was at Lincoln Day dinners pretty much year round.
Oh yeah, I bet.
All the time, traveling to all 64 counties. Ooh. If you want to do it right, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
so,
that is right. That is the way
I
you
think
do it.
it'd be fun. Nancy, did you get an update on that?
Yes, I've got the names of the counties at this point. Now, there will be more that sign on here.
Okay.
We just got to wait to talk to our ex-coms. So it would be Mesa, Garfield, Delta, La Plata, Pueblo, Otero, Huerfano, Los Animas, Eagle, Teller, La Plata, and Elbert.
Elbert County, Tom Peterson signing on. Wow, interesting. That's where I live. So a lot of rural counties signing on. Denver not yet. Denver County hasn't signed on.
Not yet. Again, it's harder for the larger counties because, for instance, for Jeffco, my ex-com, my executive committee is on Thursday. So this will be presented to our ex-com for a vote on Thursday. So I can't even put in Jeffco yet because we have to have the body approve it.
Well, Nancy, I really appreciate you joining the Jeff and Bill show and taking the tough questions and standing up for your position. We told Dave the same thing. Not every leader is willing to put out a statement and then defend it and take tough questions. Both you and Dave are willing to do that. Nancy, are you up for it? Would you be interested in being the chairwoman of the Colorado Republican Party?
Not at this time. Actually, my focus is still on Jefferson County, if they will allow me to do so. And I need to build Jeffco, and then when the time comes, and possibly, but not now.
Gotcha. Well, Nacy Pallozzi, I hope I pronounced that right. Is it Pallozzi or Pallozzi? I always go a little bit back and forth.
It's Pallozzi.
Pallozzi, Nacy Pallozzi, Republican chairwoman of the Jeffco County Republican Party. I really appreciate you being on the show. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, Kurt.
You too.
Nacy Pallozzi, chairwoman of the Jefferson County Republican Party. All right, so let's go to the phones. Tim, Leonard, Evergreen. Tim, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bill.
What'd you think of that? Is it time for Dave Williams to go, or is he being a bold leader? What do you think?
He's being a bold leader, Jeff. And just as Nancy said, which I was glad she corrected you, the Jefferson County Republicans are not behind this statement. This is a personal statement from the chair. And if you notice, your end conversation was she has not yet gone to the executive committee to ask for this approval. So she's completely gone rogue and done her own thing to be able to do that. And a lot of the comments that you said were exactly right. The Republican Party has completely lost its salt and its light because it has never made bold statements like this. And this really offends what I call kind and gentle people that want a big tent to do absolutely nothing. What good is it to have a Republican in that doesn't follow the Republican Party platform consistently and boldly? And all Dave is saying is, hey, he's denouncing pedophilia and grooming and castration and mutilation and lewd behavior at homosexual parades and drag shows for children. And what? Are people going to defend that and say, no, we want to be empathetic and sympathetic, and it's about love. Well, this is politics, and maybe a little contrary to Bill's position of, hey, it's BS for eternal rewards. Hey, there are Joan of Arcs that stand up, and there are people that say, my faith is not to be compartmentalized just for Sunday. And then when I go out in the world, and especially the political arena, I can't exercise my faith and values. But if I believe them deeply in my heart, and I know that to be true, I have got to speak out. Dave has to speak out for the good of his own soul. I mean, this is Thomas More stuff.
And Tim, I think, and I told this to Dave, I think part of the complication here is you're taking very spiritual issues, pushing them out through the state party. When you do that, you have to, in many ways, include the entire story. I felt that Dave's initial email, God Hates Pride, missed the second half of the story. So in one ways, it was a lot of truth without a lot of grace. So, you know, the Christian message includes that call to repentance, that invitation to a personal relationship with Jesus Christ that saves souls, that improves lives, that makes everything better, right? John 10:10, that Jesus came that you may have a life and life to the fullest, right? And in many ways, the message went only straight to the condemnation, and it was very bold. But if you're going to do spiritual things, you have to do it entirely. Do you think that's a fair critique, Tim?
It is fair, and that's a fair way to do it. And it's no different than, and everything could be better. You know, Dave could have softened it. You could have changed the pictures or whatever. But we do live in a day and age that we are fighting evil right now, right in front of us. And to be able to water it down and say, well, in order for me to get all the love and hugs in, I've got to compromise a message, which is exactly what Nacy's saying. You have to compromise a message. No one ever gets this pill. No one ever gets to say, you know what, this is wrong and it needs to stop. Now, you're right. It should be put in a sandwich where you get a little love in it. You can, but this is like a mean tweet, right? You just go, oh gosh, you could have done this better. But that's not the point. The point is somebody has to speak the truth. Somebody has to say, this is an abomination. You have to keep our children away from this kind of deviant immorality. And Dave never pointed to the person. If you notice, it's all the behavior. He never said, you know, like other people say, oh, well, we're all sinners. We can't judge. We can't point fingers. That's not the issue. You know, any heterosexual that's a fornicator or an adulterer is in the same boat as person who activates homosexual behavior. And that's the issue here. And there's a full-on drive to go to the innocence of children. And somebody has got to stand in their way. And it's not going to be these party chairs that say, oh, I want a warm and soft message, because that's why we have so many yous today. Because they say the Republican Party stands for nothing, and the Democrat Party is going crazy radical, and there's no one to stand up for it. And this is how you get Republicans back and use into the Republican Party, by standing solidly and boldly for truth. And it's truth in love, without question. It may come off harsh, but Dave is purely after the soul of people. And of course he wants the votes, and of course he wants earthly reward, as Bill said, but it's in order to activate your faith in the political arena. You can't say, oh, well, I'm a plumber, I can't talk about this, or I'm a politician or a truck driver. Your faith has to be 100% in everything you do in your daily and ordinary life. And that's exactly what this is. And we ought not ever to compromise our political views because we don't love our neighbor.
Well, Tim Leonard on the show with Jeff and Bill talking about the call for the resignation of GOP Party Chairman Dave Willaims. I would disagree with you on the idea that Dave didn't call out any individual and then goes ahead and he basically at the opening statement in that in his email, he called the entire LGBTQ community pedophiles. But he draws wild aspersions that are not necessarily held up by example. But let's put that aside for a second. What is the job of the Colorado Party chair? If you had to do an elevator speech on that job description, what is it?
Is to get Republicans elected, to draw people to the Republican Party, and combat your opponent. And Dave's number one strength is combating his opponent. From day one, he's been bombastic, and he just opens up the party platform and throws bombs at the Democrats and say, you guys are crazy. And that is something they've never had before. And this is one of them. And it goes down, whether it's abortion and their radical position on that, anything, all of it, he has gone right down. And that
how many votes? How many votes is Dave's email about God-hating pride going to win Republicans in Colorado that weren't already there? How many minds were changed? How many more votes is that message getting Republicans in Colorado?
Well, I can tell you as a parent, I say it's about darn time somebody stands up.
That's not my question, sir. Excuse me. Stop. I'm going to stop you there. You can make a speech all you want. I asked you a very direct question. It's about numbers. How many more votes is this message going to gain the Republican Party and candidates across the state? How many? Don't give me a speech about what you feel or anything else.
All right,
numbers.
Then you answered this question.
No, you answer my question first. You answer my question, and then you get to answer a question. We're not doing this. You're going to answer a question with a question. Answer the question. If you can't, and you say, I don't know, fine, we'll move on. But I'm not playing this game. I asked you a very direct question.
How would I know? How would I know the answer to that question?
Then let's guess. Let's guess. What do you think? Based on the political climate. You're in politics. You understand the political climate in Colorado. Really?
More votes.
How many more?
More votes.
Is it going to swing any actual election? Any more?
How many votes would we lose? How many votes of people didn't vote for Joe O'Dea because he's pro-abortion? You count them. Tell me how many people didn't vote for Joe.
I mean, Joe got more votes than Heidi, though.
Yeah. Joe and didn't lose as bad as Heidi did, and we have elected a gay governor in this state twice. If you don't understand,
that's not my question.
I know. Hang on a sec. The issue is the political. No, the issue is the political. The issue is the political wind, and the political wind in this state is not in the sails of Dave Willaims. That is not how the average voter views. And this is detrimental to the state party and its cause getting people elected. That's the core. That's why Nancy's upset. We can be very happy about it pushing our religion and our faith and everything else and pat ourselves in the back and say, aren't we being great Christians? Fine. But the very first thing you said was Dave's job was to get more Republicans elected. And this email fails. That's why people want him out. It fails at doing that.
That is your opinion, but you're on a slide of the Republicans have been losing for 14 years. What's the strategy? What's the new strategy that you would have in order to say, let's attract Republicans? And it's not these kind of Republicans, because that's why they don't win, because they
I can
don't
do it.
stand
I
for
can
the
tell you
party
exactly what it is.
platform.
I can answer that question incredibly easy, Mr. Leonard. The issue is stop demonizing the gay people. You can point out the lewd and lascivious behavior. You can talk about that as far as performances in front of kids, but stop calling the entire community groomers, because anybody that has had experience with an LGBTQ person in their life understands they are not categorically groomers. And the majority of pedophiles and people that molest kids are heterosexual. So it is a misnomer and a prejudice. That would help.
Tim,
that would be step number one.
Great call. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thank you, Bill and Tim, for going back and forth. We're just out of time. All right. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in the UK, I'm John Beaver, and here are the top stories we're following. Job growth blew past expectations last month. In New York, Haley Bianco has more on the latest figures.
The U.S. Labor Department on Friday reported payrolls in May rose by 272,000 jobs. The robust employment report adds pressure on the Federal Reserve to hold off on interest rate cuts until at least September at the earliest. The unemployment rate ticked up to 4% from 3.9% in April. It had held below 4% for 27 straight months. Data earlier this week showed job openings declined in April, and the number of available jobs per job seeker reached its lowest level since June 2021. The Fed is closely monitoring labor market conditions and economic growth to ensure it doesn't keep rates too high for too long, at the risk of triggering a recession. Reporting in New York, I'm Haley Bianco, Salem News Channel.
It's been confirmed that Tesla will not launch a refreshed Model Y this year. The automaker is battling high interest rates, which have reduced consumer spending on big-ticket items. Chinese competitors in the electric car market are also offering cheaper alternatives. Tesla's global vehicle deliveries fell in the first quarter for the first time in nearly 4 years. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm John Beaver in the UK on Salem News Channel.
Great conversation with Nacy Pallozzi. She's called for the chairman of the Colorado Republican Party to step down. She oversees Jeffco Republicans and a number of counties joining her, including Elbert County, which was interesting. That's a very Republican county. Text messages coming in. Nancy's going to face a very interesting meeting on Thursday. She's facing her own resolution to step down. Everybody call for each other to step down. I wrote an article about how Republicans are just in this losing culture. It's like what the Broncos face, where you're starting to blame the water boy. You're the reason we're losing. You're the reason we're losing. I'm just sitting here
going.
Start
going after the strength and conditioning coach. It's just like, maybe not here, guys.
The Colorado GOP is an evangelical organization, not a political organization. 7114. You should keep it. This is Andrew. You should keep that for Sundays when you're surrounded by like-minded folks. The rest of us live in reality. At least this means Republicans will continue to lose in Colorado. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Marty, Denver, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Marty.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hot show, hot topics. Love it, of course. Pride Month. Just real quick for support of Dave Williams and Jefferson County rebuking him. They elected Brian Tatone as a state representative. So I don't want to hear their sort of moral positioning on this email. You can't negotiate with a man wearing lipstick and high heels to come over to this side. So that doesn't hurt anybody. It should galvanize or make bolder the Christian conservative who thinks those things, but just doesn't have the guts to say them out loud. So hopefully,
I mean, Marty, to your point, I often think about what happened to Colorado. If you think back to the 90s when Focus on the Family had so much sway and influence in the state, and how socially conservative the leadership was.
It's called
It's
mail-in
amazing.
voting.
Yeah.
It happened with mail-in voting almost overnight. Go back to 2008 and look at where we are today. It put it into a microwave. Things like that don't just happen without mail-in voting.
Marty,
Jeff, I want your take.
Yeah, and I understand what Marty was saying there. However, we're reminded there's a friend of the show, Rebecca, that is a trans woman and a lifelong Republican. So the idea, Marty, that you can't get someone that is wearing heels and lipstick to vote for Republican, I know one personally that has voted Republican in every previous election for more than a decade, and a proud trans woman and conservative. So they exist. And the idea, Marty, that you just discount them is exactly proving my point earlier about discounting them as a community.
Marty, appreciate the call. Bill, thanks for the comment. All right, we'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Text messages coming in. Should the chairman of the Colorado Republican Party, Wilaims, resign? I just posted that as an X poll. If you go to x.com/Jeff Hunt, you can vote in that poll. Nacy Pallozzi, chairwoman of the Jefferson County Republicans, saying yes. Tom Peterson, chairman of the Boebert County Republicans, saying yes. A whole bunch of them. Very interesting. Text messages are back and forth on this one. 8422. The reason the Republicans keep losing in this state is because they stand for nothing anymore. They are afraid. They've become just a pale red version of the Democrat Party. Joan, you're wrong, Bill. Republicans need to stop being squishy. And I had a business partner that was gay until he died from AIDS, and parents acknowledge that sexualizing kids is wrong. The CRT curriculum has driven many from the public schools. This is an allegiance test. Let's see what happens on 6/25. 6,600. Billy nailed it. As a straight independent who leans right, when I hear Dave Williams hate, it's exactly why I'm not a Republican. Growing up, conservatism was largely about keeping government out of our personal businesses and lives. Even if I disagree with your choices and lifestyles, support your rights in order to defend mine. Wow. Lots of conversation on that one. Appreciate all the text messages and calls. Up next, Mike Lynch. He's running for Congress. He's going to join us. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Want to take your favorite radio station wherever you go? Now, there's an app for that. No matter where you are, stream your favorite shows. Tap the app to listen to podcasts, text message your favorite local hosts, call the show, get the latest headlines, and enter contests to win prizes. All in the palm of your hand. Available now for iOS and Android devices in the App Store or Google Play. And best of all, it's free. Download today.
8 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, center, crazy, gay, straight, everybody, man. We've had Dave Willaims. We've had Nacy Pallozzi on. It's been a wild few days, and it's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history. We're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up just after the news, Mike Lynch is joining us. He's running for Congress. He's a candidate in Congressional District 4. That crazy competitive race with Richard Holtorf and Lauren Boebert and Deborah Flora and Peter Yu and Jerry Sonnenberg. It's coming down to the wire. The horses are turning the corner on that final stretch. Does he have what it takes to win this primary, become the next congressman for Congressional District 4? We're going to ask him the tough questions up next, including how does it feel to be on Jimmy Kimmel? We'll get into all this and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, and we're going to get into the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. Looking forward to that. 63 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the low 90s today. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story.
That email was just not right in any way. I mean, we don't condone what was in that email, of course.
Chair of the Jefferson County Republicans, Nacy Pallozzi, on with Jeff and Bill last hour. She wants GOP Chair Dave Willaims to resign after he sent the God Hates Pride email as he wrote about protecting kids from the alphabet mafia.
When this email came out last Monday, it really was kind of the straw that, broke the camel's back on this one. This is not who we are as Republicans. We are not about hate. We're not about calling people out that way.
Former President Trump says he'll end taxes on tips if he makes it back to the White House. Speaking in Las Vegas on Sunday, where the entertainment economy relies heavily on tips, Trump said that getting rid of tip taxes would be the first thing he does in office. He's scheduled to sit down with a probation officer today, reportedly from Mar-a-Lago. He'll do it virtually. Trump's set to be sentenced on July 11th, of course, but remains upbeat with a sense of humor in the desert of Nevada once again over the weekend.
They were so worried. Everybody was so worried yesterday about you, and they never mentioned me. I'm up here sweating like a dog. Secret Service said, we have to make sure everyone's safe. I said, what about me? Oh, we never thought of it. They don't think about me. I'm working hard. This is hard work.
Hunter Biden's federal firearms trial continues in Delaware. The president's son is accused of illegally buying and possessing a gun while on crack in 2018. 4 Israeli hostages were freed from Hamas in an incredible military operation. The uncle of one of the hostages said one of the reasons his nephew survived was because he had other hostages near him.
I thank them for the support, because if he was alone, I believe we got someone else. We'll see it in the next few days, but it's okay. Yesterday, all his friends came, and it was a big party for him. All he wants is a cigarette and friends. This is what he wants.
4 people are recovering from serious to critical injuries following that small plane crash in Arvada on Friday. Witnesses reported seeing the plane flying low and weaving before it plunged and crashed into the front yard of a home near Oberon Road and Carr Street. The small plane burst into flames, and neighbors pulled the victims from the wreckage before they were rushed to the hospital. The NTSB is investigating the crash. U.S. Olympic team has snubbed Caitlin Clark. She won't be on the team for the 2024 games, even though she's the biggest name in women's basketball ever.
You're a great big dummy, dumb girl.
Yeah, the dummies. Not allowing her to play in 2024. That'll come back to bite him probably. We'll see, but Caitlin Clark will improve, as Billy talked about last hour. Rocks lose to the Cardinals 5-1. Started series tonight in Minnesota. The Celtics lead the Mavericks 2-0 in the NBA Finals after another win on Sunday. The Panthers try to go up 2-0 against the Oilers tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. French Open third-seeded Carlos Alcaraz won his third career Grand Slam. 60 in Glendale, 59 in Golden, 63 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. It is Monday morning. Good morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Here's your 710 5-day forecast. Good chance for thunderstorms again today. Partly to mostly cloudy, highs 80s. Some thunderstorms could be strong to severe through evening. Lows tonight, upper 50s and lows 60s. Partly sunny Tuesday, highs 80s. Not as many thunderstorms, but a few. Mostly sunny and dry, warm. Low to mid-90s Wednesday, Thursday, upper 80s Friday. Friday and Saturday afternoon and evening thunderstorms return. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center. Here's your 710 5-day forecast. Good chance for thunderstorms again today. Partly to mostly cloudy, highs 80s. Some thunderstorms could be strong to severe through evening. Lows tonight, upper 50s and lows 60s.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It is Monday, June 10th, which means that's a very important day in the Hunt House, Billy.
Yeah, it's where everybody gets their shots.
No,
I'm sorry. That's a ranch thing there. You know, I'm just saying, kind of a ranch joke. I appreciate that.
June 14th, my wonderful oldest son, Joshua, turns 14 today.
No way. Oh, my God. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's out getting donuts with mom right now, so wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
Oh, that is so cool. Happy birthday, Josh. That is fantastic.
We call him J-Dog in the Hunt House. So happy birthday, J-Dog.
Okay, now just for the listener, what does J-Dog like to do for fun? When he's not doing anything, when he's hanging out at the Hunt Ranch, what's he like to do?
So that kid was born to attend West Point.
Really?
Speaking of that, we're going to talk to a guy who's been there too.
Excellent.
This kid is every military movie you can imagine. He's got every airsoft gun you can. He dresses in camo and runs around the Hunt family ranch getting ready to defend this country.
Oh my goodness! I tell you, he and I probably would have hung out a lot as kids.
He's a good one.
We had, we didn't have the airsoft guns or anything as a kid, and just sucked. So we used my friend's skill saw. His dad, one of my friends was a very good artist, and he could free draw weapons. And so we would do that on wood, and then his dad would help us cut them out on the skill saw. So we ran around and we would paint them with wooden weapons that we did ourselves. Yeah, and we could do AK-47s, we could do M16s. We could do those. Yeah. Well, yeah, we had fun. Yeah.
It's important to let boys at that age do that.
It is. I'm so happy. Happy birthday. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Well, speaking of West Point, we got one in the studio here. Mike Lynch, running for Congress, Congressional District 4. He's the current minority leader in the Colorado House of Representatives. Mike is a husband, father, and proud U.S. Army veteran. He's been married to Alex since 2001. They have 2 adult children, their daughter Carly, who is currently attending Arizona State University, and their son Spencer, who is enrolled at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Mike, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, it's awesome to be with you.
Tell me about your time at West Point. Was that fun?
Oh my gosh. It took me a while to get in there. I grew up in a really small town where they couldn't spell calculus, much less teach it. And so I had to go into the Army and prep. I ended up going down to New Mexico Military Institute for a couple of years, actually getting a commission in the ROTC, turning it down, and then starting over again. So, yeah.
What'd you do for the Army?
So I was an infantry guy. So I was a grunt,
fantastic.
Jump out of planes and go play Army, blow stuff up.
Do you miss it?
Yeah.
There's always that hesitation.
No. I mean, the camaraderie, the military in general, just that family is really special. Yeah. And I miss that part, but I still hang out with my buddies. I mean, we get together for reunions and stuff. So
even once you're crawling around in the mud, you always like it. I mean, that kind of you could do ranch work, right, around the ranch and all that stuff.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm irrigating tonight. I get water at like 8:00, so through the night I will have water, and I'll be plenty muddy.
What do you do on your ranch? What do you guys grow?
Just hay.
Hey,
I'm
great.
a self-sufficient horse guy. So I grow all my own hay
Do
for
you?
my
That would save me a lot of money.
horses. Yeah. Oh, it's great. Yeah. It's great.
Fantastic. All right. So I'm going to ask you the same questions I've asked everybody else running for Congressional District 4.
Sure.
Why are you better than the rest of the lot? Than Lauren Boebert, Deborah Flora, who's sat in this chair, Jerry Sonnenberg, Richard Holtorf. Why are you better than all the rest of them to represent the people of CD4?
Yeah. You know, there is such a great group of everybody in this race is wonderful. They really are. They bring something different to the table. And what I bring that is different is experience. Experience from running my own small business for the last 23 years. My military experience. I'm one of the few guys that could actually get on the Armed Services Committee, which is really important for Colorado that we have somebody on that Armed Services Committee. I've already talked to a few of my West Point peers that are in Congress, and we figured out how I can get on the Armed Service. But really, it's that I've done this job. You know, I'm not a career politician, but in the last 4 years, I've figured out how to get 50 bills across the line and signed. Things that make a difference for Colorado, and also, you know, as the minority leader, which I'm not currently, just so you know, so I stepped down from
Thank
that.
you for correcting it.
That through that position, though, I was statewide discovering issues that are here in the state, so I can take the issues of Colorado more effectively to Congress. I think I personally believe that you shouldn't serve in Congress unless you've served in the military, because that is the body that decides whether we send our young men and women off to war. I mean, a declaration of war comes from that legislature. So that's one aspect of it. The other is just I've figured out how to get things done in the minority. In a super minority, I have been able to figure out how to work with the other side without poking them in the eye. There is a fighter element to this job, but if you're a hammer, everything's a nail, right? It's not always a fight.
And this was the big point of contention with you and Lauren Boebert. I think Lauren's probably right now the front runner. Name ID is helping her to do that. So you two really went at it during the Channel 9 debate. That was your critique of her, is that she hasn't passed many bills. If I was Lauren Boebert's comms director, I would have just said, well, what do you expect, Joe Biden to sign any of my bills? But that was a critique. I don't think she had a good answer for it, but that was your primary critique of her.
Yeah. Well, it is the job, I believe, that of the congressman to take the money that our citizens in that district have given to the federal government. It is our job to go fetch it. Go bring that money back into that district. And as I have driven I wouldn't say every inch because I haven't been to Springfield yet, but of that district, that district needs help. We need to see our tax dollars.
So would that include earmarks?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. We have a role to be fiscally responsible, but we also have I believe a bigger role to do what we can to bring money, our tax-paying money, back into that district, and that hasn't happened in CD4 in a while, and you can tell that by driving around that district that they need help. Rather, that's in the form of making sure that we can continue oil and gas exploration. I've represented Weld County for the last 4 years. That is such a crucial part of our economy. We've got to get that district going again. Had some interesting conversations recently about the possibility of putting these data centers, as we get AI going. If we've got power and we've got people, we can start putting maybe data centers in there. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what we can do to really economically bring back CD4.
Now, let's talk about the district you're from and Highlands Ranch, different district. Deborah Flores making the argument, I'm better to represent this district because a majority of this district's now kind of suburban. I'm a suburban woman.
Yeah.
So what's your response to her?
Well, I have for the last 4 years represented the second largest. So the largest component of this district is Douglas County. The second is where I've been representing the last 4 years. So I've got Loveland, Windsor, Severance, Eaton, these Wellington, of course, where I live. So I've already been representing those areas, which are not they're not completely agrarian, right? But some of them are. So I've already been representing this same sort of split, because I've got Weld County out past 85 in Eaton, which is very ag related. But then I also have the metropolitan areas of, Windsor is really a suburb of Fort Collins. And so very similar in demographics between what's down in Douglas County. But I've been living in Douglas County the last few weeks. I take my job serious. And so I've been, I've not been running because I've been actually doing the job of legislating. And so it has been nonstop since the sine die. When that gavel hit, I was immediately on the trail and going after it. So,
you fan of Donald Trump? How do you feel about voting for a convicted felon?
Yeah. That whole deal is scary, because this reminds me of Russia in the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, this is absolutely horrible. It's not a real felony. This is ridiculous, what's going on. So yeah, the fact that I don't even acknowledge that was really went down. It's crazy. So I have no problem with that. Donald Trump chose my shop in 2016 to do ads for his initial campaign, and so we've had a good relationship with him. I'm not excited that he didn't endorse me, but I understand what's going on there. So I don't have a problem with that.
Well, Trump sometimes gets it wrong. He got it wrong on Lauren Boebert the first time. He went for Scott Tipton.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that he was a Scott Tipton fan.
Yeah. Well, he's got it wrong this time. So
let's talk about the debate that happened on Channel 9. You were taken, and they cut a clip of you and Kyle Clark and played it on Jimmy Kimmel the other day. I thought the question was incredibly unfair.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That entire debate. And guys, we got to stop doing these with him.
Yeah.
You don't get into the issues. I think Kyle Clark has two motivations. One, to end promising Republicans' careers. Mm-hmm. And two, to make the Republican Party look crazy. Mm-hmm. Because his question to you was not fair. It got nothing into the issues. It was an attack on you. And he does that throughout the debate, if you watch it, and then doesn't cover Ukraine, doesn't cover Israel, doesn't cover energy and oil and gas, doesn't cover sanctity of life issues, didn't get into any issues. It was a 1-hour personal attack on Republicans.
Yeah.
And you saw Jimmy Kimmel run with it. How'd that make you feel?
Yeah. Well, hey, anytime your name's out there, that's good, right? So
Yeah.
we didn't have to pay a dime for my name to be in front of millions of people. So, they often say there's no such thing as bad press. So, it is really funny, because I was on a radio interview and they said, well, what do you think about the Jimmy Kimmel thing? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I don't watch it every evening, so I'm sure. Yeah,
I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel. He is a Kyle Clark on the national level.
Yes, that's exactly right.
They make hay out of these issues of, just like you said, ruining Republicans and pushing their agenda forward. So yeah.
Now, Mike Lynch, candidate for CD4, joining Jeff and Bill live. I want to return a little bit earlier to some of your legislative experience.
Yeah.
First question I have for you is, of the bills that you have managed to get passed inside our state legislature, what is the one you are most proud of?
Wow. There's a bunch of really cool ones. I'll talk about cool ones, and then I'll talk about impactful ones. The cool one is I am actually the father of Space Force National Guard. So
can we get a T-shirt? I want a T-shirt,
right? A belt buckled on it. So that was before Space Force was designated as an entity. We were proactive in the state, and we created a Space Force National Guard, and that was my bill. It was really fun. Other cool veteran stuff. I've been proud to be the guy that has ran the resolution the last 2 years on Gold Star families, where we get to honor those sort of folks. This year, actually, believe it or not, I've got a ballot measure that it was my bill that we'll get to vote on, which makes it so that if you commit first-degree murder, capital offense, that now With my legislation, you will not be eligible for bond. So believe it or not, when we dropped capital punishment in this state, we forgot to fix the law that said.
Should we be surprised about that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Whoopsies about that fentanyl thing too. Sorry about that. Messed that one up.
Yeah. So that'll be a ballot measure that's really impactful. So now, literally, as the law is written today, you could commit a mass murder with a camera filming the whole thing, get picked up, and actually be eligible, by statute, have to be eligible for bail. So we fixed that. That was a really cool one that I did with the majority leader this year. And then, of course, my work with fentanyl has been impactful. I literally just spent this weekend. I am Colorado's opioid fellow. And I just graduated from that fellowship program yesterday.
A fellowship with who?
NCLS, so National Council of State Legislature.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and that meeting was here in Denver.
I was going to say, opioid fellows can go one of many ways. I'm a pharmaceutical opioid
I know. I was
fellow.
thinking about, got to go down to there.
Doing all the promotion and sales for
maybe
them.
down in City Park to look for an opioid fellow.
Yeah,
and see if we can. Wait a minute.
Look for me on the corner. I'll be
Yes.
right there. But no, this is addressing the opioid problem.
Correct. Yes. Yes. So, I was the only legislator my freshman year to do anything on fentanyl. So right now, as the law sits today, it is a misdemeanor for you to have 4 grams of pure fentanyl on your presence. So that means you get a ticket and they say, hey, give me that and let's go on. I have spent my legislative career fighting that. Matter of fact, my election was against the Republican prime sponsor of the bill that made a misdemeanor for 4 grams of possession of any illicit substance.
Was that Priola?
No, that was Vicky Marble.
Vicky Marble
was the prime sponsor of that bill on the Republican side. Yeah. So I've been fighting that. So what happened is that I ran a 7-page no appropriation bill. The Democrats realized that they did not do anything in that space. And so the Speaker of the House got on my bill. And by the time we were done, it was 73 pages and $53 million. But here's the deal. I got off that bill because it would not. This is what I wish we did more as Republicans. I stayed in that conversation up until it went to conference committee. And then for the first time in like 40 years, I came off of that bill because I said, if you're not going to felonize the possession of fentanyl, I can't put my name on this. And I would have been strung up by every law enforcement officer for doing that. But I still was part of that conversation, right? I was components of what our fentanyl policy today, I was detrimental in. It was my bill. And then the speaker ended up going off and being the chief of staff for the governor. And so really that legislation is mine. And so that's why this weekend I was speaking to this group about what we've done in Colorado for fentanyl and opioid addiction.
Now, Mike Lynch, candidate for CD4, I want to then flip this just a second. You talked to us about a little disappointment of having to pull your name off of that bill. What is the one bill that was close to your heart that failed, that you're still a little bit sad about? The idea that, guys, this could have helped if you just would pull your heads out of. I won't continue. But what is that bill?
Absolutely, that was a bill that I ran this year that tries to get people with addiction help before they're completely into the judicial system. So it would allow a judge to say, okay, instead of doing pre-trial stuff, you can go and talk to this. It actually is a medical doctor that will help you with your addiction. We can interdict and start helping people before they have to go through the process of being incarcerated. That bill will become law. I just didn't get the right Democrats on it this session, but it allows us to get people help. When we look around Denver, we see a sea of addicted people. It's that we've got to help out at some level, and so that's one that I'm confident that it won't be me, but they've already taken that, and the Dems will end up picking that up and getting people out.
Jeff, did you hear? He just said the right Democrats. There's some that are the right Democrats.
I know.
I'm curious.
Okay, I think we've interviewed pretty much everybody. I think Peter Yu's the only one that we haven't. But you come across, Mike, as a non-bombastic, thoughtful statesman. It's kind of,
thank you.
Right? Like that's your goal. That's your personality. That's what you've tried to build in your career is we're just going to solve problems.
Absolutely.
You're generally not going to read about me in the newspaper unless Kyle Clark and Jimmy Kimmel are going to talk about it.
Right.
But your goal is not to pick all those fights just to get things done.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the deal. I'm a business guy, right? So I'm used to results. I have a business, and at the end of the day, I can go in the back of my shipping area and say, we made that. Politics is not quite that rewarding, right? But I inherently want to get something done, and you're not going to get something done by always going and poking somebody in the nose. Sometimes you have to, but for the most part, let's get something done. I mean, we've got so many issues that we can put good Republican conservative principles to fix in this state. We don't want to miss any opportunity.
But Mike, there's a lot of people that want somebody to march to Washington, D.C. and poke Joe Biden right in the eye.
Sure. Well, then I'm probably not your guy, right? There's ways to do that by being successful. You can do it without being bombastic and being on every tweet, which I haven't figured out yet. One of these days I'll get Twitter figured out. But I think it's more important to get stuff done for those people, and I've learned that over the last few years. I was the guy that marched the Republicans out of the House. So I know how to do this, but at the end of the day, we got to get something done. You got to show results. So yeah, I mean that was fun. People forget that there was not a Republican that voted for HH because we were in the parking lot, and that was under my leadership. So.
Out smoking some cigarettes out in the parking lot.
Well, the governor said, "Oh, well, they went to a bar," which was ridiculous. I mean. Yeah, we were on premise.
Mike Lynch, his website's lynchforcolorado.com, Lynch, F-O-R, Colorado.com. We're going to ask him some questions about his positions on national abortion ban, mass deportation, Ukraine, Israel, all that and more when we return. But I want to talk to you real quick about Gaye Ribble and the Empower Home team. We're going to have Gaye in here in just about 30 minutes. She's going to join us in studio. I adore Gaye Ribble. First of all, she's got a wonderful personality, very sweet, very bright personality that you want to be around when you're selling your house because it's such a stressful thing, right? You want somebody that can get you through those tough times in a positive way. Secondly, she cares about her values. She gives back to orphans in the state of Colorado because she was an orphan herself at one point. She wants to help people find forever homes like she did and helped raise her into the woman she is today. But third, she is a titan, right? We all got family members and friends who have real estate licenses who want to sell your house for you. Gaye Ribble is a pro that you need to hire because this is a business transaction that can get the most for your family. Gaye Ribble and the Empower Home team get their clients an average of $30,000 more. Could you use an extra $30,000? That's precisely why you need Gaye Ribble and the Empower Home team. Their exclusive database is filled with pre-screened buyers ready to make a purchase. Take the stress, hassle out of selling your home while getting the best price. Here's an unbeatable offer. Gaye Ribble and the Empower Home team will sell your house for 100% of the asking price, or Gaye will pay you the difference. It's an offer you simply cannot refuse. Get 100% of your asking price guaranteed with Gaye Ribble and the Empower Home team. Give them a call today, 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or go to gayasthebuyers.com. That's Gaye hasthebuyers.com. We continue with Mike Lynch. Is he going to promote a national abortion ban and deport all the illegals? We're going to find out more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in the UK, I'm John Weaver, and here are the top stories we're following. Job growth blew past expectations last month. In New York, Haley Bianco has more on the latest figures.
The U.S. Labor Department on Friday reported payrolls in May rose by 272,000 jobs. The robust employment report adds pressure on the Federal Reserve to hold off on interest rate cuts until at least September at the earliest. The unemployment rate ticked up to 4% from 3.9% in April. It had held below 4% for 27 straight months. Data earlier this week showed job openings declined in April, and the number of available jobs per job seeker reached its lowest level since June 2021. The Fed is closely monitoring labor market conditions and economic growth to ensure it doesn't keep rates too high for too long, at the risk of triggering a recession. Reporting in New York, I'm Haley Bianco, Salem News Channel.
It's been confirmed that Tesla will not launch a refreshed Model Y this year. The automaker is battling high interest rates, which have reduced consumer spending on big-ticket items. Chinese competitors in the electric car market are also offering cheaper alternatives. Tesla's global vehicle deliveries fell in the first quarter for the first time in nearly 4 years. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm John Beaver in the UK on Salem News Channel.
All right, you're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show. We got Mike Lynch. He's in studio. So if you go to x.com, 710KNUS there, or our YouTube channel or a Rumble channel, you can watch him. You can see what he looks like. Handsome man, cowboy. Mike
Does it bother you when they show up and they're better looking than us? Just in
Dude, they're
general.
all better looking.
I know. Well, me, of course, but I mean, you can at least hold your own. Me,
Well,
I'm like,
look, I
gave up a
tricked
long
one
time
girl.
ago.
That's all it took. I tricked one girl.
I know. Give me both.
I had a buddy who was a movie star.
Yeah.
Really good looking. He was
I
like
bet that was a lot of fun.
He was a soap opera star and a music. He was like the Justin Timberlake of Mexico.
That's great for the ego.
And so I travel around with him, and I will tell you, thank the Lord I don't look like him, because when you're actually around it, and it's like every conversation is a girl that's like in love with you. I don't know. I couldn't handle it. I found one. I'm very happy with one.
Yeah, I'm very happy with one too. I certainly appreciate her.
Mike Lynch, I'm going to ask you this question, because right before you, Nacy Pallozzi was on. She's the chairwoman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, calling for the resignation of Dave Willaims. Should Dave Willaims resign?
Yes. And yes. There you go. How's that for a succinct answer?
Military guy.
But it is not for this email, this one email. I mean, this is a compilation of things that have been going on. That the role of the Republican Party is to get Republicans elected. That's it. It's not to even take issues on issues, really. But the fact that they've used state party funds for his campaign, the fact that, and that's, I've seen that on flyers paid for by the, Republican Party. That, and then the endorsing thing that's just not what the party does. So, it's not, this is a compilation of things. The email was unfortunate. But I think Nacy said it best, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So. Yeah.
All right, let's talk issues. Mass deportation. You in support of that?
Yeah, we've got to be careful with this. It's not just an easy answer. I mean, the easy answer is yes, absolutely. Let's people that have not followed the laws that guys like me work hard to pass and get out there need to be removed if they're there. But we also if we just do a broad-based, go grab the latest bus charter and start throwing everybody on it, I am worried that that wide net, if it's not done right, and what I mean by right is making the immigration laws smart and effective and work and enforced, then I think we run the risk of grabbing folks that could contribute to our society.
But aren't they here illegally? Shouldn't they just go home anyways?
Oh, absolutely. They're here illegally. I mean, that's the thing.
So their first step into their country was to break a law.
Yeah, exactly.
So why wouldn't we just send them home?
The logistics of that are going to be a mess, but we should. Once again, they broke a law, and if we're going to have laws, if we're going to be a nation of laws, then we have to also enforce them too. It is just disgusting what our executive branch at the federal level has allowed to happen here. Once again, they think they're gaining all of these votes. Half of those people are Christian Catholics, folks that right. believe very conservative issues. They don't believe in all this woke stuff that's going on. So I don't know. We could end up getting a whole bunch of Republican votes out of these people, but no, they do need to be rounded up. I just look at the logistics of that being really cumbersome.
I don't think they get past really the criminals, and Bill and I talk about this all the time. You're going to get to the Elian Gonzalez. You remember that little kid sitting in a closet and some guy busting in, guns ablazing. Not fully guns ablazing, but I mean, at a certain point, I don't know, like you were saying, the logistics of it is going to run into that reality. If you're a criminal, you get popped. We got you. You're out. Yep. That one's going to be generally pretty easy. I think you can go after E-Verify. You can go after the businesses. You can make it really hard in this country to be illegal immigrants. But grabbing guns and going after kids in closets.
Yeah. It's going to be, it's going to go down. I mean, I'm confident that Trump is going to get elected, and we're going to see some version of this. I hope we have good, thoughtful people involved in how we do that.
All right, let's talk pro-life national abortion ban. You support that?
I do not, and here's why.
Did you change on that? Did you say yes last time we were here, or were you always a no on that? I'm trying to remember.
it was a pop question without me thinking real well.
Okay.
So if I thought that would ever occur, then I'd have to really look at it. But anytime you have the federal government doing anything, it is dangerous, I think. I love government as close to the people as it can be. So I think that is an issue that needs to be brought as close to the people as it can be.
But do you believe life begins at conception?
Absolutely.
So why, if that's a right to life, why wouldn't we make that a federal thing? Why would we leave that up to localities for people to debate? We don't do that with slavery.
Yeah. Once again, I really believe that issue needs to be as close to the people as possible. So.
All right, let's talk Ukraine. You're a military guy.
Yeah.
Would you have voted to send the billions of dollars? It was $9 billion to Ukraine.
Yeah. If we lose our stance as the leaders of the free world, it's all over. It's all over. And so we have a role to keep Ukraine in the game. Now, that being said, there needs to be incredible oversight on where that money's going. So under the existing administration, do I believe that money is being used most effectively? Absolutely not, because I don't trust anything about the Biden administration right now, because we don't know who's running it. It's surely not this guy that can't walk up and down stairs. But we also cannot walk away from Ukraine. Now, we need to hold the European countries accountable to say, hey, look, this is your backyard. You guys need to get involved in this. But yeah,
but do you fight a war the way Joe Biden's doing? Like, I understand you can't, and now we're seeing Russian troops and not troops, but ships head to Cuba.
Yeah.
So obviously, oh my goodness, we're right back into the Cuban blockade and all this stuff again. Yeah. But obviously, you can't obliterate Russia without getting into a much bigger war, which we don't want. But how do you win? You're a military guy. Yeah. And just kind of giving Ukraine just enough to not get overrun is not going to help Ukraine win.
Right. This gets so complicated with the military industrial complex. Right. So you start getting money involved in this whole deal, and it gets nasty quick. But no, how do we win? We make sure that they have what they need to do this. I am not for us. I'm not for my son, who's in the Army right now, going to help Ukraine out. Would you have sent him to Iraq? No, I wouldn't have. Wow. Yeah. If that was my call. No, I have a real problem with a lot of how those wars went down. Yeah. The premise of them, I think, was faulty. And that was from a Republican. So.
I was a big defender of it too. I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I interrupted your train of thought on Ukraine. Please continue.
No, we have a role there. But it needs to be managed better. And it's not going to get managed better until we get good people, until we change the dynamics of DC. So
how about Israel?
100%. We need to do whatever they are asking us to do and get out of the way. I mean, that is the only beacon of hope in the Middle East. And if we walk away from those guys,
so what's the solution? Just a full obliteration of Hamas? What do you do with the Palestinians?
This deal, at the end of the day, war is not pretty. It is not nice, but it has to be absolute. And until Hamas is obliterated off the face of the earth, I will support Israel in that mission.
Mike Lynch, we're talking to in studio. His website's lynchforcolorado.com, lynchforcolorado.com. Now, I've worked for a member of the U.S. Senate. My wife worked for 2 members of Congress. We kind of know how the game is played in Washington, D.C. Your number one role is going to be constituent services. Absolutely. That's really that you have to deliver on, right?
Absolutely.
And constituent services is not sexy. It really doesn't get into issues. I've got farm aid issues. I've got, this type of bill, that type. You're just delivering for what the people of your district need.
Yeah.
Then you get into the issues. You got to do kind of the party stuff. You support Mike Johnson? Is he a good speaker?
I don't. I was worried about our own speaker here. But, I believe so. I love the fact that he is a principled Christian leader, and he leads with that. But I don't know the guy. All I do know is that to create the chaos of us continuing to turn over, we've got to get rid of that. One vote and you're out deal. I mean, this is ridiculous. But I don't know. I don't know the guy one-on-one. I believe he's the right guy right now, and we've got to roll with it. We cannot have this turmoil going on if we're going to get stuff done. It is stopping us from actually leading and governing. I don't know what it's like to be in a majority, but I tell you what, it'd
be nice to pass something. Well, and that's my. I'm going to jump ahead here in another question because I'll ask you what committees you want to be part of in a second. But so in my time in DC, about 6 years there. There's certain congressional leaders that can do it right. And what I mean by that is they get constituent services down. They join with the party. They help their party. They do that game. Then they tend to pick one issue that they really want to work on, right? You can't do it all. So some of the best ones, like Joe Pitts, for instance, even Rick Santorum, cared a lot about like the persecution of Christians. And they'd hold hearings. They had the ability to convene, and they would bring in people from North Korea and China. And what it was like to be a Christian. Not sexy, never written about in the newspaper, but they had one issue God put on their heart that they could push forward. William Wilberforce and the end of the slave trade, for instance. Charlie Wilson's another good example of this, right? You remember he funded the Afghanis going after Russia with the rockets and all that stuff. He had one issue. No one else remembers Charlie Wilson for anything else but that. You get one issue to deliver on in your term in Congress. None of the budget stuff, none of all the other stuff. But what's close to your heart, Mike Lynch, to deliver for the people?
No, there's really two, but the first one is the fentanyl crisis that we've got going on. I kind of accidentally stepped into that, but have spent the last 4 years fighting that here in Colorado. And I mean, this is where government has a real opportunity for impact. It is the number one killer of our military age people in this country. And it's one thing, we've got to close the border, but we've still got this fentanyl coming through. And I would love to run the investigative committees that figure out if China's just giving the stuff to Mexico so that they can, without ever firing a shot, deplete our country from military.
I think that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. I don't, the state of Colorado is not doing enough on it. I mean, every year I'm the guy that says, hey, let's do more on this. And so that would be the first one. The second one is I'm a West Point guy, and I want to make sure that our military does not become woke. So, I mean, armed services is where I'm one of the guys in this race that has the ability to get on armed services. And also it's near and dear to my heart because my son's at West Point right now, and I want to keep him alive. And, it's one thing to say these are warm and fuzzy issues, but it affects our readiness. It affects our ability to be a lethal fit.
Is our army as tough as they need to be right now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Really?
not. Yeah, because of the introduction of this EDI stuff. We've got to stop that with our military, or we're going to lose readiness. And lose readiness means we lose wars. And when the world looks at America and says these guys are not, they don't mean it, they can't back up their big talk because we know their military is weak, then we're done. We're done as the dominant power in the world.
Mike Lynch, he's running for Congress. His website, lynchforcolorado.com, lynchforcolorado.com. Give us a text message. What do you think? You like him? Has he got your vote? 0359. Mike will be a solid representative for CD4. I like Mike.
Nice.
That's your mom. She texted it. Mike, what's your Liberty scorecard score?
I have no idea. I don't listen to outside agencies.
Well, you did get a Western Conservative Summit Faith, Family, and Freedom Award.
Yeah.
So
twice.
That's the important one.
Twice.
Twice.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
Much more important
She
than that
listens to
scorecard.
at least us. All right. We'll continue our conversation. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Mike Lynch in studio with us. His website, lynchforcolorado.com. Mike, thanks so much for being on the program and taking some of the tougher questions.
Yeah, awesome to be
Appreciate it. He's running for Congress, Congressional District 4. Check out his website. Throw him some bucks if you like him. lynchforcolorado.com. All right, we've got a special person in studio. One of his staffers, Parker, works for Colorado Christian University. Now, normally I'll read the ad for CCU, but since we got a CCU student here, I'm going to let him do it. All right, Parker, come on over here. Grab a seat. All right. And then you're going to talk right in there. Tell people about CCU.
Alrighty. So, is your student ready to live out their faith and prepare for their future career? For over 100 years, Colorado Christian University has been educating the next generation of Christian leaders in a distinctly Christ-centered community. CCU is the premier interdenominational Christian university in the Rocky Mountain region. They offer a world-class education, ranking in the top 2% of all colleges nationwide for their rigorous academics. Students can choose from 100-plus undergraduate programs ranging from psychology, entrepreneurship, theology, and engineering to their nationally acclaimed nursing and education programs. CCU cultivates real faith and equips students for all areas of life. Their small campus and Christ-centered community sets CCU apart. At CCU, students are known by name, not by number. Professors are mentors, developing students spiritually and professionally. No matter what degree path they choose, your students will graduate from Colorado Christian University ready to impact the world with grace and truth. To learn more and apply, go to ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply.
Well done. All right.
Nice job.
We got a future broadcaster here. Nice, Parker. Was that your radio debut? Well, he's working with Mike Lynch as well. And it was so many great CCU students have gone out to work in politics, and that's what we need. People grounded in faith, grace, and truth, making a difference out there in our culture. All right, when we come back, Gaye Ribble is going to be joining us. Talk about this housing industry in Colorado and whether or not it's doing that well. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
9 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, center. Crazy, not crazy, pro Dave Williams, anti-Dave Williams. We're all over. By the way, I've got a poll up on X.com right now. It's already got 86 votes. It's growing. Should Colorado GOP Chairman Dave Williams resign? Right now it's leading yes, 77%, 22% no. What do you think? Go vote. Join the conversation on X.com /Jeff Hunt. In just a second, we got Gaye Ribble coming into the studio, talk about the housing market and what you need to know about what's hot in Colorado, what's not, and how you can make money off of your property. I'm into Gaye Ribble. She is great. She's awesome. She'll be joining us in just a second. Hat tip to George Brockler right there. All right. You're listening to Jeff and Bill Show. Let's get into the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. 67 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting highs in the low 90s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
Anytime your name's out there, that's good, right? So we didn't have to pay a dime for my name to be in front of millions of people. So, they often say there's no such thing as bad press.
Mike Lynch talking about former comedian Jimmy Kimmel using a cut from a debate done by one of the TV stations in Denver. Lynch is one of the candidates in CD4. He's a businessman, a veteran, and knows the Congressional District 4 needs help.
I believe that of the congressman to take the money that our citizens in that district have given to the federal government, it is our job to go fetch it, go bring that money back into that district. And as I have driven every no, I wouldn't say every inch because I haven't been to Springfield yet, but of that district, that district needs help.
Lynch on with Jeff and Bill this morning, and so was the chair of the Jefferson County Republicans.
That email was just not right in any way. I mean, we don't condone what was in that email, of course.
Nacy Pallozzi wants GOP Chair Dave Williams to resign after he sent the God Hates Pride email as he wrote about protecting kids from the alphabet mafia.
When this email came out last Monday, it really was kind of the straw that, broke the camel's back on this one. This is not who we are as Republicans. We are not about hate. We're not about calling people out that way.
Pallozzi says Republican chairs are set to talk to Williams tomorrow. Former President Trump says he'll end taxes on tips if he makes it back to the White House. Speaking in Las Vegas on Sunday, where the entertainment economy relies heavily on tips, Trump said that getting rid of tip taxes would be the first thing he does in office, as he continues to move the crowd.
They were so worried. Everybody was so worried yesterday about you, and they never mentioned me. I'm up here sweating like a dog. Secret Service said, we have to make sure everyone's safe. I said, what about me? Oh, we never thought of that. They don't think about me. I'm working them up. This is hard work.
He's scheduled to sit down with the probation officer today, reportedly from Mar-a-Lago. He'll do it virtually. Trump set to be sentenced on July 11th after the weaponizer, Judge Mersham, did his duty for the left. Hunter Biden's lawyer is indicating he won't testify in his federal firearms trial in Delaware. Hunter's attorney agreed to allow the judge to give the jury an instruction that they shouldn't hold it against him that he did not take the stand. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says President Biden's executive action on the border is intended to incentivize illegal immigrants to use lawful pathways of entry into the U.S. The secretary called on Congress to pass a border security bill. 4 Israeli hostages were freed, of course, from Hamas over the weekend. in an amazing military operation. The uncle of one of the hostages said that one of the reasons his nephew survived was because he had other hostages near him and they communicated. U.S. officials pushing Hamas to accept an Israeli proposed ceasefire deal to end the fighting in Gaza. But a lot of people realize they are terrorists and they probably shouldn't hold their breaths on that one. U.S. Olympic team has snubbed Caitlin Clark. She won't be on the team for the 2024 games, even though she's the biggest name in women's basketball in the history of the game, more than likely.
You big dummy. You big cold-blooded dummy. You big dummy. See what you did?
Rocks lose to the Cardinals.
Sanford
I
and
had
Sons.
to. I
Oh my
had
God.
to.
That is fantastic. I love you.
I know. Well, hey, I love you too because you love Sanford and Son, and Jeff still needs to go home and watch about
does, yeah.
4 hours of Sanford and Son. He's got to do that. That's
Is
his
that the one-
homework.
was that the one with Spock?
See, this is why I'm still surprised he and I are friends. It's amazing every day. Somehow
Well,
we
no,
still get along.
his sister is in it, and Fred would call her Spock.
Yes, that's true. That's
true. There are great insults in that show. You need to go check it out, Jeff. All right, the Celtics lead the Mavericks 2-0 in the NBA Finals. The Panthers try to go up 2-0 against the Oilers tonight in the Stanley Cup Finals. 65 in Inglewood, 62 in Broomfield, 67 in Denver. Happy birthday, Josh Hunt, J-Dog. All right, Jeff and Bill continue on Monday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Here's your 710 5-day forecast. Good chance for thunderstorms again today. Partly to mostly cloudy, highs 80. Some thunderstorms could be strong to severe through evening. Lows tonight, upper 50s and lows 60s. Partly sunny Tuesday, highs 80s. Not as many thunderstorms, but a few. Mostly sunny and dry, warm. Low to mid-90s Wednesday, Thursday, upper 80s Friday. Friday and Saturday afternoon and evening thunderstorms return. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Joining me in studio, you know the name. Even Mike Lynch was like, I know that name. I got to go meet her. Gaye Ribble's in studio here. We hear her name all the time. She's up there now with like Frank Azar, Dan Kaplis. She's just like part of Colorado. Jake Jabs. When you think of Colorado, you think Gaye Ribble and the Empower Home team. They're ranked as one of the top teams in Denver and the entire Front Range. This remarkable accomplishment is the result of over 30 years of serving families at a high level and making a huge impact in the real estate market. Gaye's favorite part about being in the real estate industry has always been serving clients on the ground level, fostering relationships with clients, and helping them unlock the power of owning a home is the greatest honor in the world. Just as every home, every family, and every story is different, so is Empower Home team. Discover what truly makes our team special. Or as we like to say, discover the Empower Home team difference. I love it. Gaye, thanks so much for being in the studio with us.
Oh, it's always great being here. It's interesting. We stage our listings
Yeah.
as well. And so this weekend I was at American Furniture Warehouse buying furniture for a property that we're staging today. And they told me that Jake Jabs is 93 years old and that every week he tours every one of his Denver stores to make sure that they're running it the right way. Isn't that interesting?
That generation or those types of people, they're very few and far between, but they build something and they work at it till the day they die.
Yep.
That is who they are.
Yeah. And the one thing I've always appreciated about Jake Jabs and American Furniture has been, what does it take to get it done? He wasn't about the industry is doing this. No. What do I need to take? I mean, he's the guy that bought his own delivery trucks so that he could deliver outside of state.
Wow.
He's the guy, that is invested in local community projects so that the community grew. I mean, I worked with him on some advertising, and this is an age ago, back when he and I were both much younger and better looking. But fantastic dude. I mean, just absolutely. And it was the questions inside the meeting weren't about the dollar amount. It was about, is this going to get us to the goal that we want? And is it going to serve the consumer? If it is, do it. I'll write the check. Doesn't matter. As long as it meets what we're trying to do here and it stays true to American Furniture Warehouse, do it. I will worry about that paycheck later. And it was fantastic. I mean, I very rarely do come across someone in that level of an industry that is that just focused and open-hearted. It was fantastic, dude.
So
I love it.
Gaye Ribble, the interest rates are so high. I don't want to sell my house because then I'm not going to be able to get a house at a low interest rate. Tell us what is going through people's minds right now, and should they be concerned about selling their house?
Well, it's interesting. I am in within Keller Williams Realty, the company that Empower Home is affiliated with. We have the top 100 agents across the country, and I'm privileged enough to be in that group. And in that group, we are meeting with economists all the time. We're meeting with Gary Keller himself. He's the founder of Keller Williams. And quarterly, we have a big mastermind. We talk about these things. And so it's always really interesting to talk to the top agents in every market in the United States. And that's really who makes up that room. But one of the things that they said most recently is that everyone's waiting for interest rates to go down.
Right.
They're probably not. I mean, like, get used to this market because this is the market of the day.
So and I saw a headline the other day that that this is now people are just kind of frozen in place because if you I'm in the 3s in my house. So why would I sell then?
Because you need to. Right. And that's why. And so we're starting to see, I mean, we're seeing both right now. There's a lot of fear, a lot of people, with uncertainty and that kind of thing that are just sticking. But there are also the trailblazers who are like, we need to move. We're outgrowing our home, or our home is too big for us, or whatever the case may be. I spent the weekend looking at houses in Genesee to a family of 3. Their kids are hitting that middle school, high school age, and they want a bigger house. They want a place where they can entertain and have the kids. And they're leaving a 3% interest rate, but that's not the driving factor. So sometimes
does the world crash down on you when you leave a 3% interest rate?
No. I mean, if you're at a point where you can afford more, which for some people they can't. And so, we understand that. But for other people, really, they can. They don't want to. No one really wants to have to pay more for housing. But if you get the housing that you want, right? Housing is more than just a roof over your head. It's your community. It's, where you're able to entertain, bring people into your home. There's a lot more about it than just, kitchens and bathrooms, right? And so I think when you finally hit that point that it's like, well, we could stay here forever. I mean, you could have stayed in your 2-bedroom apartment forever too. Right. And you took that leap to something bigger. And yes, it was more expensive when you did it, but it was worth it because you kind of grew with it. And so that's who we're seeing out there now, are the ones that are just like, you know what, we need something different, and we're ready to go ahead and do it.
And that happens on either side, right? So you get the older families that are like, we need to downgrade, downsize, not downgrade, downsize.
Yeah, and I actually call it right size because it's not always smaller. It's just different, right? Not as many bedrooms, but maybe a bigger open area to, host all of the family for family events and things like that.
I'm going to talk about the other side here real quick. The new home buyers. Is there... in Denver, is there a good pathway to go from apartment to your first home ownership?
I think we may have talked about this before, but it's very interesting when you start talking to potential first-time buyers. A lot of them are getting to the point where they just feel like they probably will never own a home, they're short-sighted enough that they've sort of just accepted that. And so instead of saving the way that we saved, because you have to save to get started, instead of saving, they're doing lifestyle. They're spending their money on lifestyle outside of the home. So a lot of travel. The young generation travels way more into, much more exotic places than I
all those
did,
Instagram
or my kids
and
did.
TikTok accounts that are luring people over.
It is. And just simply going to places, going out for a drink is $30, for a glass of wine. And so, but they do that. They go and do that. They're spending their money elsewhere. And I think at some point they will regret that, because at some point when they do settle down, if they do settle down, that they will want that home, and then they will regret all of the spending that they did instead of saving. But it's certainly still attainable. The biggest thing that, and I know I've talked about this because I'm really passionate about this, the biggest thing that I would say is for parents and grandparents, as you have money now and you're thinking about willing it to your kids and, whatever down the road, really, I'm just really trying to encourage people to help their kids get into a home now. Give them a chunk of money for a down payment. Give them the money to, buy the interest rate down, or to make it affordable so that, that the loan amount is lower. They will grow that money so much more over time, even if you just invest in them, right? And it's not a gift. That's where you're investing, is in housing, and you're watching.
You become
your
the bank,
investment.
and they pay you
the
each
bank,
month, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's things, and I think that really savvy parents and grandparents are starting to realize that the best way to help their kids is not when their kids are 60 and they pass away, right? But when they're younger and they're needing the help right now to get that start. So I really, really encourage anybody that has kids and grandkids to, look at your whole financial plan and try to figure out, even if you don't leave them as much later, they can certainly use it a whole lot more now, and it will grow to way more later.
In studio with us is Gaye Ribble. She's with the Empower Home Team. They have 14,731 buyers just waiting. We've talked about this before. We all have friends. We all have family members that are real estate agents. They all want that business. And I understand it's good business to be in, but this is a business transaction where you are trying to get the very most for your sale. And relying on somebody that's just going to kind of put a yard sign up isn't going to get it done for you. She's got 14,731 pre-approved buyers waiting, so they can often sell their homes, first of all, faster, right? 1.5 times faster than other people. They get an average of $30,400 more dollars for their sale. That's 3.8% over what other real estate agents are getting. They have served over 10,000 families. I think you guys are selling like a house every 2 hours or something like that. I heard on an ad.
Across the country.
It's
not all just right here in Denver.
Yeah,
but yes, across the country.
She sells, 12 homes a day. No, that's amazing. The Empower Home Team, look, you want to get that bottom line deal for your family, because this is about money in the pocket. So Gaye Ribble, their website is empowerhometeam.com. empowerhome-team.com. You can learn more about that. If you have a question for Gaye Ribble, give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710KNUS app. So I'm going to ask you a question about some of your favorite neighborhoods. Okay. I was thinking about this the other day because we were up in Longmont. I'd never been to Longmont. I grew up in Cherry Hills. Lived in Highlands Ranch. We now live out in Elizabeth. So I've always stayed on the southern part of the city. So we had a track meet up there with our kids up in Longmont, and I'm driving around. I'm like, this is an amazing little city.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have lived here. And if I knew about Longmont, it was like right out of the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
It was tree-lined streets and quiet streets and a nice little main street downtown. Gosh, this is a nice little part of town.
Northern Colorado is where the growth is happening now.
Is it?
So a lot of growth along the I-25 corridor up and down. Johnstown,
They got a
Windsor.
Buc-ee's.
Yes, I've been to that
now.
Buc-ee's.
What do you think of that Buc-ee's?
It's an experience.
It is.
Yeah.
Because you've got to wait like 25 minutes to get into the parking lot, and then they don't have any place to park. So it's.
But I actually walked and counted all of the pumps, and they have like over 100 pumps.
Wow.
It's incredible. So
it's good food there too. It's like if
It's
Walmart and your local gas station married.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So yes, Northern Colorado is definitely a place. Fort Collins has always been super quaint, even though it's big. it still has a little bit more of that quaint feeling and a lot of lakes in northern Colorado that I don't think people really realize. But if you're a boater, that's the place to go, is northern Colorado. And we serve all the way from Colorado Springs to the Wyoming border. So we actually help people up and down. I closed on one in Fort Collins this last week. So yeah, personally.
Now I saw it was an article about pods, the little shipping containers, and they rated Denver one of the fastest get out of town cities.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that
Number
too?
7. We are the 7th fastest get out of town, actually the state.
Really?
Yeah. So we were number 1 in people coming to, right? And they came because it's beautiful. It's Colorado. They love it. And it was affordable, was being the key word there.
Yeah.
So it was affordable. It no longer is affordable from a lot of different places. Even if you're coming from California, it's pretty much a lateral move. And so they're not coming and, being able to
Why
buy
is
something
that?
with cash, because our prices have just gone up so much.
Yeah, but why did the prices go up, do you think, from your perspective?
I think because it was affordable.
Okay, because of the
people were
demand. The demand led to
yes,
that.
because
Gotcha.
of the affordability. But now there's so many that have come that it no longer is affordable. The other thing that has happened is as people, particularly from the coast, which we get them from both coasts, as they have come in, they've brought their politics with them. And so a lot of I see this literally every day. A lot of the long time, I'm a Colorado native, so I get what Colorado used to be compared to what it is or is becoming. And so a lot of people are leaving because they don't like what it is or becoming. And so they're either going to the more conservative counties, which Douglas County and Weld County are the 2 that have still had growth. They're the 2 most conservative counties. And that's because people are leaving other, counties that are no longer conservative and going there. But then from there, they're leaving the state to more conservative states.
And so does that create opportunity for someone if they want to sell? If they're like, I'm going to Georgia, or I'm going to Florida, or I'm going to Texas. I don't want you to, because I want as many conservatives as we can get in the state. But I really do understand the draw. At one point, we were like, how about Oklahoma? We were looking over there. Does that mean they can get good money for their house right now?
Well, you have to have a lot more people coming in.
Right.
And so right now, we still have a shortage of supplies. So you still,
right.
the prices have rolled back a little bit,
Okay.
but not significantly. So we're still at a good place. In fact, I think if you are really looking at selling to make the most money and you're looking at sort of a long-term plan, you want to do it now before the baby boomers start to not need houses anymore, because in the next, they're saying 10 to 15 years, we're going to start seeing that where the baby boomers are going to be selling off for various reasons. And suddenly we're going to have a lot more inventory because
Wow.
there's so many baby boomers. So you want to do it now, or, don't wait too long. Don't wait for the next 10 years, because I do think just everywhere, I think that we'll start to see, this isn't a Colorado issue, but everywhere we're going to start to see more inventory on the market, because the baby boomers, not only are there a lot of them, and most of them own a house, many of them own houses. Right, I own 3 houses, right, and many do. That's sort of a thing that the baby boomers have realized, that investing in real estate has been a good investment. They will start to sell those houses too, and so our inventory will pick up. And when inventory picks up, supply and demand driven, right? So when the supply starts to go up and there's fewer people because they're not around anymore to buy, then the prices will go down. So we'll start to see some, there's always shifts in the market, and that's a big shift that we're looking towards in the next 10 to 15 years.
Gaye Ribble with the Empower Home Team, 14,731 at least buyers waiting to purchase your home. She's great to be able to work with. I was talking about 3 things with Gaye Ribble. 1, she's a delightful person, which if you're going to sell a house and all the stress that goes with it and the inspections and all that goes, you want somebody that is low-key, kind, happy, good personality that's going to you don't want an Eeyore out there. You want somebody that's going to help you through it. Number 2, she's with us on values too. And we've talked about this before. Maybe we can get into it here. you give back to orphans in the state of Colorado because you yourself was an orphan. And so you want to help those kids find their forever families, which I think is great. So you're working with somebody that has values. And then third, you got all of these pre-approved buyers. So you get a whole system involved. It's not just a yard sign. You get people ready to buy. So you can oftentimes sell a house for 100% of the asking price, or you'll pay the difference. Or and it gets done even before it hits the market sometimes.
Yeah.
So
a lot of times it does.
that sounds very easy.
Yeah.
I like that. We'll talk more with Gaye Ribble in just a second. Feel free to give us a call if you have any questions for her. 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Everyone always asks, what makes advanced hair restoration different? Allow me to share, along with some details on, get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. First off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and their before and afters are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that's hard to find elsewhere. Lastly, Advanced Hair's Advance FUE begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day. Quick, simple, and easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, it's here. Advanced Hair Savings Summer Savings Event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's the best offer ever. For details and to schedule your free consultation, give them a call at 720-459-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results, your new hair guaranteed to grow. Before and afters at advancedhair.com. That's 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com. All right, we'll continue with Gaye Ribble. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in the UK, I'm John Beaver, and here are the top stories we're following. Job growth blew past expectations last month. In New York, Haley Bianco has more on the latest figures.
The U.S. Labor Department on Friday reported payrolls in May rose by 272,000 jobs. The robust employment report adds pressure on the Federal Reserve to hold off on interest rate cuts until at least September at the earliest. The unemployment rate ticked up to 4% from 3.9% in April. It had held below 4% for 27 straight months. Data earlier this week showed job openings declined in April, and the number of available jobs per job seeker reached its lowest level since June 2021. The Fed is closely monitoring labor market conditions and economic growth to ensure it doesn't keep rates too high for too long, at the risk of triggering a recession. Reporting in New York, I'm Haley Bianco, Salem News Channel.
French President Emmanuel Macron has dissolved Parliament and called a surprise snap national election. The decision comes after the results of the separate European Parliament elections showed a resounding victory for his far-right opponents. It comes just after President Biden was in France for D-Day commemorations, where France and the US came up with a plan to use profits generated by sanctioned Russian assets to help Ukraine. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm John Beaver in the UK on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. You know her name, Gaye Ribble. She's joining us in studio. She's become an icon in the Denver metro area because she sells so many homes. She's a real estate agent with the Empower Home team. And just listen to some of these statistics. They make an average of $30,400 more dollars for their clients because they have over 14,731 buyers in waiting, ready to purchase a home. They sell the home 1.5 times faster. They've served 10,000 families. That's just amazing. So you got to be very busy selling homes on the weekends.
I am very busy. Last week, I personally, and this is not our team, but just me personally, had 8 closings. So,
wow.
All in 1 week, which means that, 2 weeks ago, it was 8 inspections that we were doing. And yeah. So
my wife and I used to watch that million dollar list in New York all the time. That was always fun to watch them in. The competitive. Is it as competitive out there between the agents? Are you guys bad mouthing each other behind?
Well, that is against the ethics.
Is it?
The code of ethics. So if you are, you're not very ethical. I would say that there's a little of both. I mean, I find that, the bigger you are, the bigger the target on your back.
Yeah.
And so people, that I have never met, don't know, are real quick to, try to cut you off at the knees. I think the people who I've worked with, then they understand and there's a rapport. So I would say the competition is more from people who don't know each other. When you work with one another, they call it co-oping, right? You're cooperating to try to help put this all together. Right. And so I think that really professional realtors will do that well.
What's the most frustrating thing you run into with a purchaser? Something that you would want to tell people, don't do this with your real estate agent or seller.
I think sellers are probably harder than purchasers.
Yeah.
Because purchasers, they either like the house or they don't. And it's not really your fault if there's not a lot of houses or the prices are going up or whatever. They don't blame you. Sellers tend to blame the agent if things aren't going really well.
We didn't get it for $1 million over the ask. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
So is it expectations? Is that the big thing you have to work with a seller?
That's
is just kind of mitigating the expectations.
Yeah, expectations, and always, getting to them before they have the question for you. So because if they have to call with a question, that means that they've been fretting over it for a couple of days, and so their stress level is much higher. Because they don't call. Well, some of them do, but most of them don't call every time they have a question. They sort of store it up and then, till it gets big. So I always say they should never call us for a question.
And
we should always answer the questions before they come.
Don't hide in the closet during showings.
I've had some interesting stories. So yeah,
I knew I was going to tap into it eventually. I could find it. There it is.
Yeah, I had a family that they moved, and I think he was 18 or 19-year-old son did not go with them. And so he didn't have a place to go. And so he hung out.
A free 18-year-old boy to hang out in their basement.
I mean, this ended up being a big problem because he hung out in the furnace room. And so during showing, that's what he camped out in the furnace room, and he kept breaking into the house and, and camping out in the furnace room. And so then when we had it under, and, we'd have to go and move him out and talk to his parents about he can't be here, this isn't going to go good. Well, and I think his mom secretly was kind of helping him, to be, because
just one more day, just give him one more day.
Right. It was that mom's heart. Well, she told him who the buyers were, and he went to their house and told him that he was not leaving. That he was going to be there, and that it was fine for them to come, but that they needed to understand that is his home and he was going to be there. And so we, had to have a big intervention and brought social workers and
really,
yeah. So
sometimes you got to deal with pests, and sometimes you got to deal with pesky 18-year-old boys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very
so don't
interesting.
Hide out.
Don't hide out.
Let the agents do their job. I know that they now all have cameras. You walk into a house and you see the little Google camera,
a lot of times.
And everybody watches that to see what they're saying.
They do.
So they should expect, if you're critiquing a house, you should expect that the especially out loud while you're
Yep.
touring it, that they're probably hearing it.
Be rather tight-lipped, because whatever you say they're going to hear, and then I hear it from the sellers, right? Then they call me and they go, well, those people, this is what they said, and so they've already determined whether they would even, like, if those people wrote an offer. Now they're already determined that they don't want them to buy their house. They don't like them because they critiqued or criticized their kitchen, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, don't take it personally.
So be super careful what you say when you're going to a house.
Want to ask you about high density multifamily development, because Jared Polis has made this a priority. They've passed legislation to do this all along the I-25 corridor. They want apartments. They want to use light rail. From your perspective, I know you're not a policy expert, but from your perspective, are we going to see the I-25 corridor changing a lot?
Boy, I don't know where they're going to put all the people with all the traffic. So
they want to force them onto trains.
Yeah.
Do you think Colorado will ever become kind of a train light rail place?
Hard to say. I was in Washington, D.C. recently, and their light rail is really good, and you feel safe on it. And
you're very generous.
Oh, I know. Compared to other places, though, like where you wouldn't even want to go.
We lived in DC for 6 years, and it was a little interesting.
Yeah.
The metro there.
Yeah. Well, at least I felt safe on it.
Good.
You go to other places and you don't even feel safe.
Yeah.
And
New York's terrible.
Yeah, New York
really
is really bad. And the way that just the light rail is happening right now, with a lot of crime on the trains and things like that, I think they have an image problem. They're going to have to work on the image problem before people are using it, in masses.
Yeah. I don't know, Billy, you ever think we're going to be a light rail town? Or I think we're always cars, man.
It only makes sense downtown. That's in and around downtown. Yeah, like if you're just a little bit outside of downtown.
I took the light rail one time. I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to be a good little Denver citizen, and I'm going to take it from Ridgegate, which is the end of the line, which is the closest one to our place, all the way downtown. And the train just didn't show up. So I was 30 minutes late to the game, which was lovely. And then it was just a disaster. I don't know.
See, we do
there's going to be cars.
We do the train quite often going downtown, and for games, concerts, theater, just because it's easier than parking. In fact, when my daughter recently graduated over at DU from high school, we got on the Southmore station and rode 3 stops down to DU and then walked across the street to the Ritchie Center. That way we didn't have to park. And it was also less expensive than paying for parking that we would have had to by just doing the light rail and then paying for the tickets. That was really easy. And my oldest son the other day, he and a bunch of friends were going down to Dave & Buster's. Again, we've talked about it a little bit. Navigating in traffic in those situations are very difficult for him, but he knows the light rail. So I was able to got him to the 9 Mile light rail station. He can drive there just fine. Got on the train, rode down to Dave & Buster's, hung out with his friends for a while. It's a little bit of a walk, from there, but it's, a couple of blocks. And then he gets back on the train, rides home, and then it's very easy and efficient for him. However, I will say that when you talk about the image problem, during the ride, and it was funny because, I grew up downtown and I grew up riding public transportation. So I have a tendency to scan the crowd a lot more than the rest of the people in my family do. And no one else in my family spotted the 3 junkies on the train with us. Mm-hmm. And one of them was absolutely 3 sheets into whatever they were doing that day. And again, you got to watch out for who the problems can be. And so I scan things like that and I pick them out within 30 seconds inside. But that's been my experience. So you're right that there's an image issue there. Absolutely. But Gaye, I want to talk to you about something here. Okay. I want to talk to you about you talked about contracts and you talked about sellers and buyers and the co-op. Let's talk post offer accepted. One of the things then happens is you have the but list. It's that we love your house, but I want this changed, but I don't like this, even though we fell in love with it while we were in the house. What is your advice to the homeowner after the potential buyer comes back with a long list of items? Mm-hmm. And of course, those long list of items are going to have some real minor things, but they're going to have 2 or 3 real heavy ones that are going to really knock down that selling price. Yeah. What's your best advice to the seller in those situations?
Well, I usually look and I will say, is it legitimate? So if it's a legitimate problem, if it needs a new roof, every buyer that comes is going to ask for a new roof. Not every buyer is going to ask for the other 23 items that show up, right? So they're probably going to have to do a roof. It's the other things that become more problematic, actually. So if it's legitimate that you need a new roof or you need a new furnace, then you do. It's all the little things. And, if I had $1 for every time someone said it's not a new house, what do they think they're getting? A new house? It's a 30-year-old house, right? And I think that the buyers need to expect that too. But the tables have kind of turned. So, 3 years ago when we had so many buyers, everybody was waiving the inspection and they were taking it as is. And, they were really having to get beat up a lot as buyers. Now the tables are turned a little bit. And so I think that today's buyers are trying to, redeem yesterday's buyers, and they're asking for 2 or 3 times more than, what they used to. So yeah, the inspection period is a tough period for everybody. And I think that, again, setting expectations, understanding prior to going into the house, how old is your furnace? Then, be preparing that you may have to put a new furnace in.
Now, what about that roof? Because again, Colorado, we just recently had some hailstorms.
Yeah.
There are going to be some people out there that have signs up in their front yard right now that are looking to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And the buyer's coming back saying, I need a new roof. What do you do?
Well, in situations of hail, then we work with the insurance companies. But I will say that this year, more than any other year, we're really struggling with the insurance companies. So they have kind of run out of funds. In fact, many insurance companies are not even insuring new homes, not newly built homes, but any new policies for housing, because they're saying that they're losing so much money as an insurance company on housing issues. So insurance is kind of the new big thing that we are trying to work with. And so, a few years back, if there was a little bit of hail, they would have still replaced it. Now, a lot of them say no, and you have to really fight and get multiple roofers out there to say, yes, it's hail. And I recently had to, have our roofer meet the adjuster who had first turned it down, and then, get on the roof with them and point out all the problems and everything. And then they ultimately end up paying for it. But they're starting to talk now about that you may have to have a new policy, a separate policy just for roof and hail, because they're losing so much money on that.
Jeez. Now, in that list of, butts that you get from a potential buyer, what are the ones that the seller should absolutely pay attention to and go, okay, these seem like legitimate ones? And what are those little ticky-tack ones that should be negotiated down? Things like the faucet's loose, things like that. That, of course, they're going to say that's a $200 item to tighten a faucet, but that's just tightening a nut that may take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So what ones are the major ones the seller should pay attention to, and what ones should just discount?
Well, the major ones are going to be structural, electrical, plumbing, roof. Those are the big ones that, could have expensive problems that come with it. Although now I'm starting to see a lot of inspectors are, saying you need to have an electrician come out and, look at the electrical, or you need a roofer to certify the roof. I just had one of mine that closed last week. They had like 5 or 6 things that came up. Every one of them needed, a licensed professional to come, and they ended up having to spend like $500 to say that it was fine.
Oh,
so there was nothing wrong, but they ended up spending $2,500 just to get for the seller to bring people in to say that there was nothing wrong. So I think that that's something that agents need to be careful of, because that's money that could have been, put in the buyer's pocket. They would have rather put it in the buyer's pocket than have to, go through all of this to have people come out just to say that everything was fine.
Yeah, I can't see any buyer would go, "Ooh, goody, an extra $2,500 I get to spend. This is great.
Yeah.
This is wonderful." Now,
So,
we were talking high density developments and stuff a little bit earlier. You've done this admirably with us before, but I'm curious about areas of opportunity. You're out in the thick of the weeds each and every day. In and around Denver, if someone is looking for an affordable way to get into their first home, what are the pockets where you can find that affordability in Denver right now?
East. Go east. Yeah. The closer you
Aurora?
get, yeah. I mean, Brighton, Commerce City. The closer you get to the mountains, the more expensive the real estate is. So if you're trying to get started and, to jump in, being east or further south, Castle Rock is still a lot of affordability if you're on the east side of Castle Rock, right? So not close to I-25, but when you're, way out on Founders Parkway, to the east, it gets more affordable. And that would be the case everywhere. That's the case up north. Windsor is east. Severance is east. So Johnstown is east. So any place that you would like to find, and those communities are growing, and they are the prices are going up because people are seeing opportunities there. So it's a good place to grow your money.
And you can get land, dirt.
Yeah, that's
when
the thing.
You go out east.
Yeah, God's not making any more land, so that's always something you can have. And for everybody saying, no, I don't want to go east. That's too far. That's too far away. I want to raise my hand, and I want to remind people of a time in which Southlands Mall didn't exist. That wasn't there.
Yep.
And now you have very, very nice houses that have been built out there. Talk to the people in Castle Rock about Denver come up and trying to eat them. So again, the city is expanding. Don't worry about going too far now because the expansion will come to you.
We're up against a break here. Feel free to give us a call if you'd like to chat with Gaye Ribble, 303-696-1971, or text us on 710KNUS app. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Gaye Ribble in studio with us. Gaye, we've only got about a minute and a half left. What are some secret neighborhoods, or what are some neighborhoods that you really like that people should check out?
Well, I would say that the neighborhoods that hold their value the best are the ones that have the best schools. So they're very tied to schools. I mean, there's great neighborhoods all around, from Colorado Springs to Wyoming. There are some really, beautiful, awesome neighborhoods, but schools have a big impact on the pricing and on how well they perform later, if they're going to go up or down.
And you said prices in Highlands going down a little bit. So people want to look there. That's a good shot, good opportunity to look.
Well, they're going down. They're still high, right? Yeah. Which is why they're going down, is because, it's $1 million for 910 square feet. So, the value, you might have to, look at the value there, but they're going down quite a bit right now.
Wow, very cool. So Gaye Ribble, give them your website.
So gayhasthebuyers.com. Yep.
Gayhasthebuyers.com. Also on powerhome-team.com if you want to go there. But Gaye Has the Buyers, GAYE, hasthebuyers.com. Again, the 3 reasons in my mind you should work with Gaye. 1, she's very delightful.
Thank you.
Great person to work with. That matters a lot. 2nd, she's got great values. She's given back to orphans in the state of Colorado so they can find their forever homes. And number 3, a real pro. People that work with Gaye Ribble get 3.8% on average more money. That's $30,000 more. Could you use an extra $30,000? Absolutely, you could. They sell the house 1.5 times faster than other people. They have over 14,000 buyers ready to purchase, and they've served over 10,000 families. Gaye, thanks so much for being on the program. Gayhasthebuyers.com. You've been listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Have a good day.